hello everybody. How's it going? Welcome on into the Q&A for main character. I feel like I have to figure out what background to put on. Let's do the Regalia Con portal. How about that? What's up everybody? Welcome on in. Welcome to the Q&A session for main character. I hope you're all doing well. We've got so many questions. Piranha Plant has been kind enough to compile everything into a Google Doc for us to help us get organized today. But yeah,
thank you, Piranha.
Yes, thank you. If you look in the chat, you can. I guess. What should we do? Do we have a command, Piranha, to just like add a question or anything like that? Maybe we could just do exclamation point question or something like that to just, if you guys have a new question to get added. We've got so many. There's no way we're going to get through them all today. I was thinking I might preemptively answer some of the questions and just kind of like give some answers that might appease several questions at once. But we'll see.
Appease.
Yep. But I thought we might start with any questions that you all might have on the cast. If there was any questions that you wanted to ask at the start about maybe any other characters from the other players or anything like that. By the way, Faye might be joining us today, might not be. She was having some power issues, so hopefully she might pop in at some point. Not sure.
The one question I had was for Brad, but he's not here.
Fuck him.
Well,
guess we'll just never know what's on your mind.
I guess we'll just never know.
He's in the chat. You can just ask him, and he'll answer in the chat.
No, don't give him the satisfaction. He must join the call.
Well, you see, I mean, like he's been around for like every single episode, and I didn't notice. I mean, obviously he played the character early on as well, like during the VO and stuff for like the main sequence in episode 1. But like I wasn't necessarily expecting him to be like a recurring character, like the BBEG. But then I had noticed that he'd be showing up in chat. Did you know, Smith? But like
No.
But like, you know, he's been around and showing up in chat and stuff, like, you know, always in chat. And so he's been watching everything. And so like, I was wondering if he ever had in mind like an actual like modus for like the character, like, you know, like what was going on in the mind of, you know, like, of his BBEG. Like, did he actually have a goal in mind? What did he want to do? Or was he just following wax instructions?
So I can tell you the thought process behind, the pieces that we had in place for the show before the show got rolling. So first and foremost, I reached out to Elspeth about playing this character that would become a villain and question mark about their future. I knew that we were going to have a Tim Cross character. Okay, we were always going to have that character. And originally, my plan was I reached out to DJ Wheat to be that person.
Okay.
Yeah. Wasn't available. He was initially like really interested in doing it and then just didn't work out. And Brad was supposed to be on the show as a player. And we couldn't work out the schedule, so it was like, how do you feel about being a villain on the show, like the BBEG? And he's like, yeah, I'm down for that. That's good. I don't have to commit to like a crazy schedule or anything and stay up late all the time. I can do that. So I had a rough plan for what was going to go on. I made a mind map. If you're not familiar with the software, it's effectively just like it's not really like a flow chart, but a little bit like it, where you just kind of like, I don't know, you put down ideas or characters or whatever, and you can put like associations with that idea or character, and it just kind of visualizes what's going on. So I made a mind map of where I wanted us to end up, which was that Moon was going to betray the group fairly like early on. I originally planned to do that episode 10.
We're having too much fun.
Yeah, it ended up being episode 20. So planned on doing that, and then I was like, look, what I think is going to happen here, because a lot of this is improv, and you know, I don't know what kind of choices you're going to make, and I also like to leave things a little open just in case somebody has a really good idea and we want to follow through on it. My rough plan was it was effectively going to be a chase. The whole like second half of the show was going to be a chase, and it was Moon chasing Tim Cross, Tim Cross chasing power and knowledge, and you all, I guess, kind of chasing Moon, potentially Tim Cross. That was the most open part of the show, and rightfully so, because you know, the player characters, we want to give you the most agency that we can. And originally I was going to do more broken up episodes. I was going to have more self-contained episodes that were going to be, hey, we're going to do an arc with just Moon and like Tim Cross, or we would do some more, you know, like a little mini arcs that we were going to follow just Moon around, or Elspeth wasn't going to be on the show for a little while. And the way that Elspeth took Moon into this sort of manic sort of madness, being presented with all of this information and overwhelming power, I thought it was good. We kind of ended up breaking up the show into like 2 shows and we just kind of did that the whole time, and yeah, it was a lot of work but I think it was kind of good just to see these 2 perspectives kind of the whole time. So big props to Elspeth for doing things that way, because I think it was a really challenging sort of role to take on, but you were down from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that what I didn't know what to expect other than there was going to be a betrayal with Moon, and so really, you know, I did want to find out about Tim Cross, but I think realistically, it made more sense for Moon to be like, hey, I really messed up, and not being an ultimately evil character. Like there is a you know, supreme villain and not supreme villain and what have you. Doing villainous things, does that ultimately still make you the villain? And so I liked getting to explore that with the character. I have to say I missed role playing with people a lot more, because it's very isolating, and not in a bad way. It was like I was able to discover and explore a lot with this character that I really didn't think I'd be able to do. But definitely, like, wow, it created a lot of feelings of like distance and loneliness, and you know, not like in a bad way, just really interesting to explore these things, and then finally coming back to the group and being like, wow, you know, there's so much that I didn't get to learn as a player, and that kind of, I don't know if that extends to everybody else, but I was like, man, I feel like we, like, right at the end, right at the cusp of learning, right at the moment of like, this is the knowledge and this is what we're going to absorb. It was like this mountain climb where we get to the top, we're just like, what the fuck? So I went a little crazy. Like, I'm not saying like I gotta stop talking also, because I realize I'm just up here talking about it. But there was a lot.
Keep talking.
There was a lot going on. It's like, okay, how do I just get back to the team? Like, how do I as a player get back to the team, and not just go crazy in a cave, right? Because ultimately, mentally, that's where you are, and you're just like, bruh, like I just killed like half the team, and now the like reckoning that and coming to an end is like, where do you go from there, you know? So I'm gonna halt my tracks there, because there's I want to know more. I want to know way more about the team and how we were focusing together as a team, as a story, and then, like you said, Whack, it was completely like two separate things. Separate things.
I thought you played it really well, because this show I based around so many of my existential crises that I've had throughout my life, which was like a lot of isekai in general is kind of like, it follows like a really strict like formula, and those are usually like, I don't know, the most boring ones, I guess. Like they just kind of like you're hit by a truck and you go to this other world and, you know, you're a slime and, you know, whatever. Like,
how dare you?
Yes. It's really like specific. But like I think about a lot of different crazy things, and I definitely put way too much of them into the show. For example, I always think like I think about alternate realities and stuff like that all the time. Just different existences, and I'm always thinking about like people's perspectives and how it affects your reality. And that's kind of the way that I came up with the show in general, was if your perspective is different, your entire reality is changed. And based on this, by the way, I'm going to jump into what the system is in a second.
Yes.
So everybody's perspective alters their reality. We rely on our senses to perceive our reality, right? We've got sight, we've got hearing, we've got taste, we've got touch, we've got smell. All right, we've got our 5 senses. If you lose one of those senses, your reality changes quite a bit. All right? Every time you say lose one of those senses, your reality changes more and more. Your day-to-day life is way different. You know, you have to go about your day in a very specific way, usually a more ordered way, just to kind of do what a lot of people take for granted every day. Imagine we exist in a 3D space and we perceive things in a 3D way. Well, what happens if we only were able to perceive things and exist in a 2-dimensional space? There's been like episodes of Star Trek that like go through this, right? Where if you're in a 2D space, you can't understand what the third dimension is really. You have to like break your mind to just think about it and figure it out. Well,
Flatland style.
Yeah. Like it's just a different perspective. What happens if if physics evolves to the point where we have so many things explained to us that we really understand, and then we can kind of change our perspective wildly. If we exist in this 3D space, what happens if we can travel through time and do all this other stuff, right? Our whole reality changes. The system is a combination of the way that we perceive reality and physics and natural law itself. So the reason that the players on Regalia interact with a quest log and see things that way is because that's the way you were introduced to Regalia. You played the
Frank
game.
Called it.
You played the game first, and that altered your perspective. That's the way you see Regalia. So, the people of Regalia don't have that. They don't have the system. They just see the world and experience it as kind of we do on Earth, right? They didn't have that introduction beforehand, and the system is just that. It's just your perception of Regalia's natural laws and physics and everything else. And the quests that you were getting came from yourselves.
Huh.
Yep. Frank called a bunch of this stuff during the show. Yep.
I see.
Yeah.
Fancy.
So yeah, it's effectively like, so when Moon was talking to the system, Moon was beginning to see the Matrix code. That's what it was.
That's damn it.
You were beginning to see the Matrix code. You were understanding that's why I kept saying, like, you're beginning to understand. That you were beginning to see the Matrix code. You were beginning to understand how everything is working in Regalia.
See, that's so difficult because as a player, okay, so when you're the player, right? I am trying to understand everything as Elspeth, and then as Moon, it's like, well, getting these answers of like, you already know how to do that, Moon. I'm scrambling, like, what do you mean I can do that? So I'm like, okay, what is it that Whack is expecting of my character, right? What is the rule that's like you can break? What can I work with? And overall, that's very hard to do. So I was trying to understand the scale of it, right? Where like, oh fuck, if I can just find Tim Cross, I'm just gonna stand here in this hallway and drool while I go find Tim Cross in my mind. And that's like,
I purposefully
I loved exploring that.
Yes,
like,
I purposefully avoided giving you direction for a lot of that stuff because I wanted to see where your brain would go.
Yeah. Because it was like, do you have like unlimited power, or is there like, okay, you can roll for this, but you're still gonna end up falling down into a frozen lake and killing a guy, which is, rest in peace, Korgath, or maybe not. What happened to Korgath?
That's one of the questions, actually.
What's canon?
Yeah, that's one of the questions.
God.
So we'll figure that out in a minute. Does anybody else have any other questions before we dive into any of these?
Yeah, I got a question. As you know me over the years, I like to ask the very transparent questions. So for me, are you ultimately happy with where this whole thing went? And if so, do you think this is your best work?
Ooh.
I think it's the thing that.
Let me premise this before you hold that one second. I absolutely think, and this is just me, that 100 Club was your best work ever.
Okay.
So going off of that in my mind, what do you think?
So I think the thing with shows, and this goes for like movies, animation, video games, everything. As soon as you start adding other people into the mix, right? It kind of stops being yours, really, even almost when you release like a book or a story and you release it into the world and people start reading it and they start absorbing it, it kind of stops being your creation, right? So there's so many different variables that happen that change everything. And a lot of it's just out of your hands. And it's just one of those things that you kind of have to accept when you do a show or when you do a lot of creative work. So I think, first of all, I think that it was probably one of the better things that I've written, but I think it was also very complicated and complex, and it can be really hard to translate all of that and execute it all so that it can like be perceived the way that I'm trying to communicate all of these ideas and everything. So I think that it was, I feel like it's the most effort that I put in, and I really tried to think about all the different paths that it could take, more than just about any show that I've ever done. I don't know if it makes it my best work. I feel like it's probably the most work that I've ever done for any writing for a show. And again, that doesn't necessarily make it good or bad. In terms of like my favorite, I think that I'm probably the most proud of what I wrote for this show overall. I would say that I think in like terms of homebrew stuff, that I created with players and everything from scratch. It's definitely in the top 3 for me, I think. Yeah, I'd say it's in the top 3. Beyond that, it's kind of difficult to really pick.
Well, it was mainly for you, not anybody, or not the audience, not us. You know, it's like the enjoyment you get from doing it. I wanted to know if it was like up there for you. That's cool though. Thank you.
Here's my question. Do you feel, now that we've played Fabula Ultima with the idea that you had, does Fabula Ultima feel like it was the right system for you? Like, did it feel good for what you wanted to tell as a story?
Yeah, I feel like there's pros and cons with every system. And I think that my cons for Fabula Ultima were that I think the combat was a little too straightforward for me. I feel like it was really difficult to design encounters that were fun and that weren't, you know, I don't want to just give you something that hits hard and has a lot of HP. I hate doing that, you know? So I feel like I probably need more time with the system to really feel comfortable with it. As weird as it sounds, we've done 50 episodes, but I feel like I would need to play it a little bit more. I don't know. The things that I liked about it were, I really love the classes. I love the way you can combine the classes and everything. I think that's great. But I would say it didn't do everything that I wanted it to do, but I don't know if any system ever does that.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I'll play D&D or something and be like, yeah, and then I'll do this thing that I really wanted to do, and I'm like, it doesn't have the mechanics for that, you know, or like, you know, stuff like that. It's also like in a show setting, it's way different as well than playing at a table. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is of people that play tabletop role-playing games the way that like we do on Tablestory versus playing it as a board game, you know? Because that's like huge difference. So I would say that it didn't do everything that I wanted it to do, but like that doesn't really happen very often.
I know there were several episodes where you were like, well, I didn't plan for this. Not at all. So we're just rolling with it.
Yeah. Yeah, like the clock system.
I still don't understand the clock system. When you were like, we're going to start a clock, I was like, just press the buttons and follow directions. Follow the orders. I don't know what this is.
Most of the time I just kept the clocks like in my head, or like
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did, because I was like, man, I don't understand this system.
It's like the number of successes you need to succeed on the overall task. If you look at it like from the perspective of like, let's make a clock for a complicated task. How complicated is it? It's going to have more segments to the clock. If it's more complicated, you need more successes to beat it. And then I'd set like a number of failures. Like if you fail a bunch of times, you fail the overall task. That's the idea. It can be difficult to like keep track of that stuff, communicate everything to the players and the audience while it's going on. So yeah. Would I play Fabula Ultima again? Maybe. It just kind of depends on what's released. The hardest part for me about the whole system was they didn't have the monster manual out yet. So we only had monsters up to level 20.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
So you had to do a lot of homebrewing with that.
That's interesting because, like, you know, when it came down to our player characters and building them, like, it was giving us options and saying, oh yeah, once you get to level 40, then this happens. And that's why we were kind of like, oh, did we get level 40 yet? Because then we can do all this stuff too. So it's interesting how they developed the system and made it so that the player characters have all this development. And then all like the monsters are just like at level 20 unless you want to homebrew.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. So I had to do a lot of homebrewing. I also, when I started the project and we switched over to Foundry, I did a bunch of fucking work to do that. That was a massive amount of work that I did on Foundry to create. I created I made all the monsters, did all these like items and stuff, and then they released an update that had all the monsters.
Oh, jeez.
So
Just
like
in time.
all that work just got like tossed out. It was so much work. It was so much. And yeah, I was like, well, I should probably just use the official one because it's gonna work better, you know. So that was rough. Also, not having like the items and kind of like having to homebrew the items was really rough. I probably would have given you guys like a bunch more items if I didn't have to painstakingly craft each one. So that was a little tricky. I was hoping that they would add like the rare items into Foundry, but I just don't know if it was high on their priority list or what.
Yeah, like as a pilot, like when I rolled pilot, it was like your DM should give you components whenever, you know, at specific times that are better than these things that here in this. I was like, I'm just gonna like just maybe not. Well, just keep it simple.
Also, part of the issue, one of the reasons whenever I run like a new system or like if I'm unfamiliar with the system, I like try to keep things simple. But as players, you want to have as many options as humanly possible. So like you guys would always be like, hey, can we use the high fantasy and the natural fantasy in this book and this book? I'm like, please God, please just use the shit that's in this one. Please, I'm dying.
I know how that feels, which is why I never go too extra if I can help it.
It can be tricky. Any other questions before we dive into the audience questions? Because we got a shit ton of them.
Let's dive in, man.
Let's
Okay.
dive.
Let's do it.
The water is deep.
We're gonna start with April Rain, who has asked quite a few questions. This one is for all the cast. How much did each player know going into the show?
Sorry to laugh at that. I guess I'll start. Black came to us and was like, I have this idea, kind of like an isekai. Let's make a world. That's pretty much what it was. We made some areas, and I didn't decide on. I have character. What's the disease called that I have? Anyway, I always switch my characters up like 50 billion times before a show. Because I try to, in my mind, I'm strategic, so I try to balance stuff all the damn time. And this time I was like, whack, I want to make a background character. I'm going to make a background character. And we decided, I was like, let's explore all the races or the ancestries that we can in this world. And I was going to make a little, I forgot what they were called, little Lalafell looking guys. I was going to make one of those originally. And I was looking for like a program to help me, be there, not just be a grown man with a beard, and I couldn't find it. So I was like, oh, I'll just make this. And yeah, we essentially thought it was going to be, all we knew is that we were going to a convention and something was going to happen. We didn't know anything out of that. So show one, we were discovering just as much as you were discovering, and we don't script anything. So when we all showed up, he was like, Frank, you're opening. I'm like, what? So I had no idea what the hell's going on.
When we did the
we
episode,
did a little planning. Yeah,
we did a little planning.
Episode 0.
We did episode 0s, and
That's right.
The information that I gave them was like, hey, you're part of what's effectively like a raiding guild. You're like the most successful raiding guild for this game, and we're gonna go into the game world. Like that's the gist of this.
Oh yeah.
So that's about it.
Yeah, wait, you're right. We did do it episode 0, and it was nothing like what we experienced. We were in the game playing the game. We were like essentially at home playing the game. Yeah. So we had in our heads, we were like, oh, we're gonna play the game, and then something's gonna happen eventually. We're gonna, because he said isekai, we all know what that is, anime terms. So that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how our shows go.
Yep. It was pretty much they helped build Regalia, and when I talked with Elspeth originally, the whole reason that so much of this is based around like Emberstone and everything is because of our initial conversation that we had, Elspeth, which was
Really?
how does the world end?
Oh, right.
And
yeah.
we're like, what was the impetus for this war that happens? And like, And,
They like ran out of materials and shit. Yep.
And Elspeth was
Yep.
like, well, it's got to be resources because that's what most wars are fought over. You know, like, so I'm like, okay. So I was trying to put everything
dude.
together with that.
I remember this conversation. I was sitting on the floor of an airport. I can't remember which one it was. But Whack was like, hey, you got some time to discuss this RP? I'm like, yeah. I'm in. Okay, well, you're going to be there for like 10 years. And there's going to be a betrayal. I was like, say less, bro. Say less. I'm in. In.
Wait, that means when we made our characters and we decided to be best friends, you were sharpening your knife from the beginning.
Amazing.
I'm sorry.
Knew from the beginning.
It was written.
It's okay. It was beautiful.
No wonder she was like, yeah, I'll be the leader. No, I was kidding.
Right? Like, hey.
It was.
Oh my God.
It was rough.
It was. Shout outs to Stella, because there were some tough scenes. There were some tough scenes where I was like, actually, this might be a little emotionally difficult for me. And Stella and I had a conversation about it. I was just like, shout out, massive shout out to the legend that is Stella Luna for taking the time to make it comfy. So that's all I wanted to say.
I love
Truly.
you. Thank you so much for taking me on this journey.
I love you too, and I'm so sorry that I hurt you in game. I'm sorry.
It was
also
beautiful.
It was really like so strange to RP that and then be like, wow, I feel like a piece of shit, dude. So like it was hard. It was tough, but it was.
Nobody hurts
it was
me
good.
in game.
Yeah,
I got squished multiple times.
Right? No, sorry. Actually, yeah, Bo got scooshed, but
Very
that's just
true.
the way
Very
of it,
true. Yeah. Wasn't expecting that, honestly. It was amazing. Oh, it was the best.
Did it feel at least 1% cool or awesome to just like squish all of us like bugs?
So, you know what? No, that was yes, no.
Ooh,
because
okay.
because in that moment you're just like, okay, this is what I like, back to the moment at the airport, like this is what I signed up to do. Like I'm supposed to be the villain. I'm supposed to betray them, and in such a terrible way, you're just like, bruh, okay, actually now like that's the huge turning point of I don't think I can go back to having like a friendship.
Sleeper
also,
agent awoken. It was amazing.
Dude, and knowing, you know, about the things from watching as a player, right? Watching and being the audience to what your friends are doing, and seeing like Ender's completely split and lose his sense of who he was. Like his reality like is no longer there because of this, you know, these horrible events, which is just like, man, was that planned? Was it not planned? Was it like in Moon's like I don't even know, destiny, or was it Tim Cross? Like I don't know that. That is where I'm like, okay, I knew that at some level Moon was going to be betraying people. I didn't know how far it was going to go. I didn't know really what was going to happen. I knew that it was probably going to happen with Emberstone somehow, and I knew that Tim Cross was going to be a figure, but I didn't know what that was going to look like. And so it was really difficult to parse that, to be like, oh god, dude, I just killed a lot of people and they were my friends, and now I have to like slowly crawl back to them and maybe be in their good graces. And then
I love everything about it, because like obviously we'd spent so long like in Regalia like just doing random bullshit while everybody else is stressing about the main story, like what does it taste like, this, that, the other, and then you're like, I squish Bo, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no roll here, fuck, this is it, this is what it was amazing, it was so good.
What was hilarious about that is that I tried to tell Elspeth, I was like, listen, the only person you can't kill right now or knock out is Iris, because Iris is going to have to pick everybody back up. Otherwise, go ham. Do whatever you want. And Elspeth's like, okay, I'm going to kill everybody.
All right, here we go. We're signing up for this.
So good.
Yeah. That was the only guideline. Okay. Let's see. I think a couple of these we answered kind of at once. How much did each player add to the story that was unexpected? I think 90% of everything we did was unexpected, really, in general. Was your vessel predetermined? Did you know about Irislith Inderali? Who was Moon's and Rue's game vessel name and background, if you're willing to share, if you knew?
Wait, what?
So
I think this was the NPC bodies that we took over.
yeah,
Don't know anything.
no info.
I do not
Nope.
know that. No.
Because
Vessel
all of this is improv.
predetermined.
None of it was scripted,
The only
right?
thing-
So
The only thing that I did was I asked the players to come up with the character origins. That was my sneaky
Tell
way
them
of doing
when
it.
you asked that.
Yeah,
by the
this
way.
was mid-show. This was in the middle of the show.
For
That
me,
was it.
Whenever like something happened, like let's say an exposition, like what's your character's real name or how did the character die, even if I hadn't written it down, then and there, I would just like immediately just go, okay, this happened. And then if I was told, then I'd go for that. But that's only because like I would do that. So I have answers for those questions, even if they're not necessarily as fleshed out. But anyway, just sorry about that. Just to interrupt.
So, yeah, like if you want to know what Rue's NPC was, there isn't one. I don't know. It doesn't exist because we didn't add it to the session.
No.
Yep. And I said I wasn't never fleshing out another character because I fleshed out what was his name? In Gatewalker's the first character. I forgot.
Not Malevich.
Jesus. Not Malevich, the other one. Anyway, that guy.
Patronus.
Adronis, yes.
Thank
I
you.
fleshed out Adronis so much. I was sending whack like biology, like all kinds of stuff. His mother, his father had a whole background, and then he's gone. So
Hey, I didn't do it. I
you
didn't do it.
I'm always like, I'll be tribute, but I don't expect the players to actually do it themselves. So
I'll be
when that kind of happened, I said I'll never flesh out another character and I'll just do it on the spot. So when he asked for that, I gave him like 2 sentences or something, and I said I'll just go with it because I like improv is my strong suit, so I'll just give it when I need to.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I always recommend to players is like, don't write the 20-page background unless you're like really just having so much fun and you're just like, dude, this is, if you're having fun, always just go for it, right? But like the nature of these shows is so like malleable and weird that you never know what's going to happen. So I always like to advise people to make like bullet points where it's like, okay, there's certain key pieces of information. Yes, you definitely want to know that stuff, but like otherwise make stuff up, like you'll be surprised what your mind can do on the spot. A lot of times.
Yeah. Whenever something was exposited, I would DM Wag saying, okay, mine is, and just gave him like a couple points, but I would never go further than that personally.
Yeah. You can easily get to the point where you're writing like 20 pages or some shit and you're just
especially
like,
for an improv project.
yeah. And then then your character just rolls really bad, or, a monster rolls really well or some shit and they're dead, and it's rough. So yeah, it's just like, if you can enjoy the journey of whatever it is that you're doing, then I say, hey, go ham, enjoy it, do what you want to do. But keep it brief generally. Who was your favorite NPC?
Greg.
That's so hard.
That's Greg.
Greg.
Honestly, at a pinch, I would say Greg for sure. He's the most fleshed out, because he was there for so long. And
Broke me out of prison, y'all.
Best shrublet.
Best
Okay,
should've.
hold on. Let me expand on that. I thought Greg was an excellent narrative device, especially because it gave insight into Moon and what life was like in those 10 years with Moon. And then that whole arc of like Rue and Greg on their side journey, and just it's kind of like a ghost of the path that Moon had taken, you know? And just to see and kind of feel that was so devastating, and it was so sad, but also
I love that they paired together. Eventually, it was just like, oh yeah, because it makes sense, and yeah, just having Greg as a way to like help us understand the world better.
When you didn't understand him.
Right. Like I had no freaking clue. Moon had no idea. I love that there was no communication ever, and Moon just like assumed that she knew what Greg was saying, and like that was like a really, that was a hallmark of Moon's personality. It kind of like you can see that she's just like, yeah, I'm the savior, so you know he already knows what I'm saying, and he straight up like Greg, like Whack made Greg into what Greg was. Like I don't even know how we got on the subject, Whack, but was it like we discussed Greg because his full name is Greg Wood, and I was like, I want him to be like a grassy golem or something.
You said that you wanted him to look like a shrub, and then you're like, I don't know what species that is or whatever. I said
no.
Shrublet. Shrublet.
Shrublet.
Sounds cute. Let's go with it.
Yeah. Super cute. Greg was great. I really appreciated our time at the estate. I thought those were probably that whole entire chapter where we're at the
Fran estate?
Yes, at the Grafran estate. That was really, for me, I was like, wow, I can visualize this so clearly. Like I felt like I was there, you know? The Grafran estate, followed by the
Drakmar.
what was when we rode the
dune buggy?
Yes. Oh my god, yes. Yeah.
It was a road trip.
The road trip, dude. That was huge visuals for me. I actually wanted to ask everybody too.
That was great.
Yeah. I had a question for the group. What were your favorite roles out of the show? When you remember like that was a pivotal like role.
Doing back shots to the desk because I couldn't get the money out. Fuck this game, man.
Doing what?
Yes, dude.
God, bro, this game was out to get me. I rolled so bad in this game.
I'm trying to remember too, Frank. I don't remember.
I was like, was I here for that?
There was a
I know I
giant
missed one
chest
episode
of money
Yes.
that was
You
put
mean
into the dockmaster's
fucking
desk or
Clatterpoint.
something.
Oh, when you burned the place down?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I just heard back shots. I'm sorry.
It was just the crescendo of failure that
Yes.
happened was, I mean, it happened so many times to Rue, where Rue would just try the most
And then the
outrageous
basket.
shit.
Yes.
Baskets of
Like
ladies'
the
face.
blaze of glory that would
Oh,
fall.
yeah. You beat that lady ass with a basket.
Oh my god.
Why?
I got arrested
Why
for
are you
that.
God.
And it was just, it felt like it was just like Rue was seeing this like a game and is just like, I'm going to do some crazy shit and see if I can make some money.
Yeah.
It made sense like in the grand scheme of things. But in the moment, it's just like, who the fuck hit somebody with a basket? Like, what are you doing?
She was because Riley, as a character, she like was not ever disconnected, right? She was like, "This is a game." Like, do you remember Mimosas? Like, she was connected to our and grounded to our sense of like old reality or what have you. So I think she was like, "Fuck it, I steal." Like, what does this matter? Like, I'm gonna have some fun because that's not who she is, but that's who her character is, and she's I don't know. Was that how you were intending to do that, Stella? Because it came through for me. Like, she was just like, whatever. Like, I'm playing a game. You know,
Just, main character syndrome. Like, these are all NPCs.
Yeah.
What's the worst that's gonna happen?
Yeah.
I'll respawn, I guess. Hopefully.
I had something and I lost it. Never mind.
Sorry.
No, it's
The
totally
back
fine.
shots took you out.
Yeah. It took me out, that's for sure. I'm like, well, shit, my best role was finding a golden toilet.
Yeah.
You know? was it?
April asked, "What happened to Chad?" Chad didn't exist. We didn't make him. He just didn't.
Who the hell was Chad?
What the fuck is
Chad was
Brad's
Brad's
character.
original character.
Oh,
Chad Tyler.
yeah.
Chad Tyler.
Oh. Oh, I forgot about Chad.
Chad was on a bus that the wrong bus didn't make it to Regalia Con.
He took a
Yeah.
wrong turn at Albuquerque. Poor
I
Chad.
guess that's the question I have. So, like, obviously we got isekai'd by crystals inside this thing. What happened on Earth? If you were outside the stadium,
The
what
end
did that
of
look
the
like?
world as
Yeah,
we know
dude,
it.
holy shit. Was it like
Gas
the
leak.
Langoliers where there was just nothing outside of Regalia? Or like,
A
did
rift
we,
took
did we
Earth.
end up like getting saved by being transported there, or what the fuck?
Yeah, Rack. What the fuck? Yeah.
What happened to my agents? He really smushed.
Yeah, he's fucking dead. Fucking dead.
Oh, by the chandelier! That's
Forgot
all
about
right.
that.
So
Fucker's gone. He's the best agent ever.
there's going to be some questions that people have asked that I won't give direct answers to. What I'll say is the equivalent of a Stormveil Rift exists on Earth.
Yeah, I figured.
Mm.
Even if
baby,
it didn't,
in its baby stage.
The Bermuda Triangle.
was it really 10
My
years?
toilet.
Or was that just a estimation?
Oh, no, it was 10 years.
Oh, then we're dead.
It's been 10 years.
If your body's in, like, if your body's there for 10 years, no nutrition, no food, no nothing. If you're just there, unless it got encased in crystal, that'd been funny. But
Was Emberstone on Earth as well? Does that translate?
Emberstone appeared on Earth.
Oh my
when
God.
The rift opened up.
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Huh.
There's a word for that in the multiverse. I forgot the word. Where calamity happens in every existence at some point in some kind of scale,
Oh,
grand
yeah.
scale, small scale.
A singularity or some shite.
Yeah, it's some. Yeah, it's like a synced event. Something event.
Some shite.
Yeah, some kind of event.
Catastrophic collapse. I know what you're talking about, Frank.
Calamity event or something. Yeah, it's something I can't remember.
What is Bo's real name?
So Bo's real name on Earth?
Don't say Bob.
Well, he's not. What? That's not Bo. It's John. John Honson. Not John Johnson.
You just made that shit up.
No.
Yeah,
So,
he
like,
did 100%.
It was from that conversation that we had at the very beginning when everybody was making up their own names, and then Speth was like, "What's his name? Something simple like John Johnson," and I'm like, "No, it's John Honson," and then so yeah, it's John Honson.
Wow.
Riley full on just memorized you as help desk.
He just wouldn't give his name, so I was like,
John Hansen.
Why did you pick slime?
Why did I pick slime? Because
Parentheses, I love Bo. Really loved his POV. Just to cover her own ass.
I picked slime because I didn't want to be a humanoid character, and like I just like the idea of being a level 1 like monster instead.
Just
Like,
to
it was-
throw in a little isekai, tropes into the mix.
It was inspired by Overlord, and that time I was reincarnated by a slime. Like, just like I didn't want to be a human, I wanted to be like something that was perceived as a monster, and also like I just like the idea of being a little blue slime thing.
I love that we got questions from the NPCs about Bo. Like we got questions from the world that we were in about a member of our party, which was like, wow, he's pretty rare. Like he's very rare. Like we never came across another slime. Or even anything close to it.
Yeah.
They're
No
on
wild
Platea,
slimes.
I guess.
If we had gone to Platea, you would have, yes.
Really? Okay. Oh, right, because that's
where Bo's origin
that's what
story
Bo's
would have been.
background, yeah.
Question for Frank. Enders was always going to be pro-game, as Frank wanted to quickly assimilate into the world. Did you think that Frank Solomon's death helped you tell his story more, or did you wish you could explore Regalia more as Frank?
Funny thing is, good question by the way, is that I had no idea what was going to happen. Just because I always prep in character, and he was more of a support role this time around. I was going to be a supporting actor in this and I wanted Elsmith and Stella and Meyer and Faye to be pushed in the forefront, because I'm always playing like these loud, boisterous characters, and I wanted to do something different. So Frank Solomon was just a person that he was kind of like me, you know. I'm an only child, and I was brought up in a pretty well off, you know, situation where my parents busted their ass to get me where I was. But with that, in my household, I was always put on a golden road and had to follow that golden road, you know, and it was always very strict, and I didn't have anybody to talk to. And on the outside, everybody was like, wow, your life is great. Wow, you did all these things. And I'm just like, I'm dying inside, you know, like I want freedom. I like to draw. I'm a nerd. I want to do these other things. So I kind of like reflected that into Frank Solomon, hence why his name is Frank, you know. And when we were going into the world, Els was like, let's be best friends, you know, like it was a thing. And I didn't know she would set me up for party.
She's playing
Yeah,
Mario
she would
with
send
her.
me messages like,
Get you, got you, bitch. Nah, yeah, and then she, you know, we were like, we started together, you know, we were both like super with nerves, and we made this cute little connection to where she worked for me, and I didn't know she played the game. When we found out, we were like, oh my god, and she would like give me these like really wholesome hugs, and it was just like very nostalgic, and then she murdered. But then, you know, so I did want Frank Solomon to get accustomed to the world and learn that, have a life lesson. We never got to this, that no matter where you are, you're going to be faced with the same problems no matter what. And it's up to you to decide what your reality is going to essentially be by making better decisions. And we didn't get to that point, but he started to realize things early, like, I'm not really a guild leader. I'm very selfish, and everyone looks at me to be this thing. No, she's better at this. Jan is better at this. She does she makes all of my decisions for me. She's the one that writes the emails that I'm like, oh, my agent doesn't get it, but she gets it. And we never really got to explain or like share that in the story, because, you know, it goes wherever. But yeah, it would have been nice to see a Frank Solomon POV, but I think what we got was really, really cool. And none of that stuff with the in-between and stuff was ever planned. Because it was every decision I make as a actor based off the story, and I don't want loose ends. So I want things to come, you know, full circle, so you guys get as many answers as possible. And I knew we were gonna get betrayed. I knew that so early on. So I was trying to hold myself accountable as an actor to be oblivious to you all, and give you that joy of seeing the hurt in Frank. And that's why when he split himself, Frank was there, the side of, and I know I got to give me, Els was like, what was that? Even the part where, you know, one of the ice images went to go like grab her face and kiss her, so to speak. It's just like all of his emotions, everything that makes Frank Solomon was split and shattered. And he was trying everything in his power to remind her, like, this is what we have, like all of us. And when that got shattered, then, you know,
just
the enders you got was out.
just to mention this, Frank hit me up and was like, I think we should do something so that it's not just a quick revive, you know, from like Iris, and like, you know, at least my character, I don't want to do that. I want there to be some kind of, you know, I want there to be like a crescendo type moment here. We want to have something interesting happen with this death. And so he thought about the spell that he was casting and splitting, you know, these like ice clones during that fight. And Frank all kind of wove that bit together about just like, you know, we could do this. And then he and I talked, and we kind of just said, I think it broke down to like what, like, because he was interested in classes as well, like what classes should I do to like level up now if we change this persona. And I was like, well, look at the classes that you might want to play, and let's give those as potential options based on those fragments of Frank's personality. And that's how we came up with that whole idea, was just like, this class kind of does this class kind of does that, this class kind of does that. And he's like, okay, I could see myself playing any of those, and we'll see what happens, you know, during the show. And we just improv'd where it went and see what happened there. So that was a really good idea, Frank.
Yeah,
think that
thank
added
you.
a lot.
And you guys wouldn't have never got any. Wax saved the character for you guys because I was like, he's dead. He's dead. I was like, if she punches me, how the hell am I going to come back? She's a saver. She's going to shatter my whole being. So I'm going to make a cat, and be unhinged. He was like, no, I think we should explore more.
Do you see
kill
why?
your characters
Do you
all
see
the
why
time.
I did it now as well? Like,
yeah.
Because like
I'm always a sacrifice, and Faye was pissed. She was like, "You're always a fucking sacrifice. Don't kill our baby." I'm like, "All right, fine."
It was part of a big reason that I didn't want you to do that was the whole point of this betrayal and everything that happened with Moon
To have meaning,
was
yeah.
I wanted it to have meaning, and I wanted to see what happened to everybody's relationships with Moon after this.
I'm glad you did. It makes way more sense because the enders that I always start off about my characters because I don't want to get too attached because I'm always like the Joffrey of the shows or some, at some point. So I wanted to make sure that if I fall in love with a character at the end and it was a successful character for me, and I fell in love with Enders because he was so fucked up, and he was like going off of choices. He had no emotions. He was like, I'm taking her out. I don't care if it kills me. And then like later on in the show, I wanted him to kind of grow from it, and like realize once he figured out his origin, he was like, fuck. Okay, I need to correct the wrongs that or make right the wrongs I've done. So if you guys would have picked Red, that would have been a whole different scenario. It would have been bloodthirsty the whole time. Yeah. So
That's
anyway,
the one we
long
associated
answer.
with the Fury, right?
Yeah. No, that was Fury was the angry one. The gold was Fury.
Okay, yeah.
The red was what was it called? It's the one where you hurt yourself and you
the Dark Blade.
Dark Blade, yeah. Because he was going to originally become the Empress's blade. And all he cared about was what the Empress wanted. Because, she was going to give him the power he needed. And all the heroic skills was going to come from her. And it was going to be so cool. But I was like, are you sure you want to do this? I was thinking about like Stella's character too, because I didn't want, I always think about everyone's character. I don't want to make a selfish decision because it'll be a cool show choice. It's like, how would she feel if I just talk about slaughtering her best friend constantly, that's why I kind of presented it.
That would have been so interesting.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, I don't think at any point in the story Rue was ready to ever fully ready to give up. No, to give up on Jan. Yeah. Like, there was definitely some times where she thought about it, but I don't think her heart ever set on any other path than to give her a chance. Yeah.
Question for me: what did you want to use Blender for in preparation? Did you end up using it? Nope, didn't use it.
Oh yeah.
No, I wanted to create a whole anime intro for the show, beyond ridiculous to try and accomplish that before a show. Already doing so much work just to make a show in general, and then trying to do an anime intro, ridiculous. I think I was just I just wanted to do some 3D stuff, and I was like, let's try and do it for the show, and just ludicrous. Moving on. Open question. Why were Chat, Derivak, and Azuka not covered in Emberstone when they arrived?
Or Elle's character, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if I want to say this. I'm thinking about it.
So are you not knowing because there's going to be like a second season or something?
It's more along the lines of like, I like people's minds to wander for certain things. And I think sometimes it's more fun to have stuff just open-ended and let your minds wander about what it could be. All of the major story elements were based on various existential crises I've had. Is what I'll say there. I don't think I'm going to tell you that directly. I don't think I'm going to answer that.
He was once covered in red crystals.
Yep, that was it.
That's right.
Did you wake up in a city full of undead whack? Because that's kind
That
of
was it.
that's kind of nuts.
Question from Atalis. I'm wondering if Tim Cross might use something similar to project others, and maybe the people on Earth are still alive, but in a kind of stasis. Perhaps their consciousness returns if they die in Regalia. Not answering. Whack/Brad. What was the relationship between Tim Cross and the system? Was it antagonistic, curious, something else? Tim Cross did not have a relationship with the system. The Tim Cross, the villain of this show, was from Regalia. The Tim Cross
Called that too.
of this show tricked the Tim Cross of Earth into creating the Regalia game.
You could even say he was double-crossed.
Oh.
That was an
'Cause there's
alley-oop
two
and a
of 'em.
half. Yeah, the Tim Cross of Regalia tricked the Tim Cross of Earth into doing this whole thing, and sort of creating the ritual to bring the mass amount of people, which also was the cause of the rift growing massively in size.
How? Did it absorb like people's energies or something, and then that's how it grew?
Not answering.
What do you mean you're not answering? What is going on? When it's a Q&A, it's not
Yeah.
just a Q.
Yeah. Well,
Where's the A?
Give us an A, Whack.
we're not gonna do that on stream. That's, nobody wants to see that.
Oh my gosh.
It was, it's the whole process basically of Tim betraying himself to create this whole situation was based on sociopath desires, effectively. Tim was a being that I sort of, when I originally approached this, I spoke with Brad about combining Hojo and Kefka from Final Fantasy. As if you're familiar with the series, they're two like really standout villains throughout the Final Fantasy series. They're two big villains, and I see this all the time, and I think we all do, where we have scientists that a lot of scientists have like really pure intentions or what have you, and they're like, I want a better society. We also have a lot of lizard brain sociopath people out there that are just like, I'm going to do this because I can. And I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. And I don't care about anybody else that gets hurt in the process, and I'm just going to do it anyway. And Tim Cross is definitely the second one. Just purely knowledge is power motivation. Wants to learn as much as he can about the multiverse and transcend himself. And because we're probably going to get a follow-up question on this, Tim Cross and Moon are not the same. The intention with both of them is that they are anomalies. If you roll, I'm sure you've all heard the saying where, hey, if you flip a coin 10,000 times, there is a microscopic possibility that it will land on heads every time, Tim Cross and Moon are both those probability situations. They are beings that exist out of the norm. For whatever reason, they have this aspect.
They're like shiny Pokemon.
Yes. They're just
Wow.
they're just
shiny.
Yeah,
She was kind of literally shiny.
they're just different kinds of beings. What I will say a little bit more about Moon is that Moon isn't the only being in the multiverse that has gone through this.
What?
And in my head, that is how, like, the transcendental beings came into power, is they all went through some version of this. I've always liked the isekai. There's a lot of isekai stories that just kind of take things in really weird directions. And I've also read like a bunch of apocalyptic sort of like apocalypse game type stories. I don't know what to call them really, but if you've ever read like Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint or World After the End, they're two manhwas that are, they speak in a lot of metaphor, and they're kind of about the journey of regular people becoming transcendental beings, sort of. So I was really interested in that, and that was kind of the driving factor behind Moon. Is I wanted to see someone who's on the cusp of that happening, and you, Elspeth, playing the character Manic and Mad is kind of the way that I see a lot of that happening. Or if I try to visualize how that would happen, like if you're just given this insane amount of power,
yeah,
and you just are for all intents and purposes a regular person, we see a lot of celebrities, we see a lot of people that earn this like fame or stuff that they just don't know what to do with it. And it takes them years and years to like navigate it and figure it out. And, you know, you might as well roll the fucking dice to see if they come out sane on the other end, you know? Like we'll see celebrities have this like crazy glow up or some shit, like after they've gone off the deep end or something, or they do something outrageous and ruin their lives. And then like 10 years later, we see them and they're like totally, you know, they've turned everything around. And it's like, that's the way I see a lot of this happening. And I imagine a lot of the transcendental beings in this multiverse have gone through that.
If you're handed that amount of power, and then there's, because in a way there was really no one to stop Moon, right? There was, she didn't run into any, I mean, there was of course like Laser, Craven Moore. There was the threat. There was the threat of destruction, and not necessarily the threat of death. And so with that in mind, it was like, yes, I could die, but it would take a lot. It would take a lot to kill this character. And so when you're like, well, if I am not looking at death as a feasible option right now, what's the purpose? What's the purpose here? And what's Moon's purpose here? And it's like just 10 years on your friends, and you're just stuck, and you're trying to like figure out what you're doing when you already have so much built up around you. Like, okay, well, what else is there? It's almost like, in a way, I think she would have been okay with dying. Like, it would have been like, okay, that's fine, you know? But knowing that also there's her friends there, it's like, okay, that was another really weird of like, okay, I've been here going slightly insane with all of this power, but now how do I use that? How do I use that to get back to the people that I hurt? Which is like, what the hell, you know?
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, also, like, she's been there for like 10 years, right?
Right.
And that entire time, she's, at least, you've kind of made it seem as if she hasn't like made any like proper connections. She just thinks she's in a game world. So I think at some point, you're going to be desensitized. You're going to be like, this could be it today. Oh, well, you know, like, maybe perhaps I'll wake up somewhere else. You know,
One scene where she had the flashback of the burning village and the NPC running up and saying like, please save. And they were just like, that was so chilling, by the way. That had just, I've been thinking about that nonstop ever since you had that scene.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. I think it kind of not humanizes that kind of character, right? Where you're like, okay, you can only look at this universe for so long without being like, I think I'm slowly like just losing. I'm losing by winning. I'm losing myself by constantly being victorious, constantly being a savior, constantly leveling up, constantly having this amount of power where it's like, well, what do you do with this? How can you not lose yourself, right? So I think this 10 years later instance of, okay, well, now the group is back together, that's what do you do? Whack and I had a lot of conversations about this where it was like, what's your point of view when you finally do meet up with these characters again? It's like, oh, these are people you haven't seen since it's like a high school reunion almost. It's like, these are people you haven't seen in 10 years, a long time. When I think back to 10 years where I'm like, who's someone that I haven't talked to in 10 years? It feels so much longer, right? It feels so much longer than a decade. You're like, wow, oh my God, we have so much to catch up on. And I think that
or it's
contributed.
Like, wait another 10 years, you know?
Yeah, right. Like, oh my God, there's no way that was 10 years. So for some people, it's like, wow, I just saw you yesterday. And some other people are like, oh my God, you're like a different human now. So, you know, bringing that into it too was also like, that's hard, man. So yeah, trying to play this character that was like, I've got to blend in and not be like this savior. You know, it's like, oh, come on, guys, we've got all this stuff to do. Let me show you around. And meanwhile, like, I am part of the world. Like, Moon is a part of the world. So, yeah, really, really crazy stuff.
Oh, also, just to feed on that, and Frank picked up on this too, was part of the transcendental ascension is because you're known as the savior throughout the world. The belief of the people of Regalia was a contributing factor.
Oh, wow.
They believed in the fairies of Moon.
Oh, yeah. It's like as if you believe in them, they exist.
There is no such thing as the savior. The wings on a helmet falls off.
No, dude, I really, yeah.
Well,
that's
one of the things that I tried to like tell Elspeth since the very beginning. I was like, you are considered like the most powerful person on Regalia, and you are like the biggest celebrity for all intents and purposes, you know. And I told you this like at the beginning, was like, when you go into this, when we advance, you've been here, you're like the big celebrity, and like everybody knows you, and like this is you help put an end to this war, and you're the last surviving hero. Like there's all these little bits and pieces, and
that got to me as a player after. I mean, not in a bad way, but it was like it affected me as a player because I haven't really done that before. And so when you're, you know, when you're a part of a group and you're role playing, and then you're separated, right, by your own doing in this kind of like crafted, like you are the villain. It was very odd to be audience to my own team and the people that I was like, all right, well, I'm here, and they were like, all right, we got to level up. And in a way, I'm like, I got to get back to them. So we were like in this catch-20, this chase of chasing each other, where I'm like, I keep ending up in these random places, and this is not where I want to be. Like, where am I? You know, and yeah, crazy dichotomy of like, we were never able to reach one another. And that's why I'm listen, I'm throwing my hat in the ring for another season in the future, but I'm not it was so like, damn it, like the culmination of everything, we finally get back to our friendship, you know. We finally revisit that, and then we don't get to enjoy it.
Can we talk?
That was where I was like, damn it, dude.
Can we? So I'm gonna get back to more of these questions, but since
sorry,
you
yeah,
brought
I know,
this
I
up,
keep, I'm just like, oh, dude, there's yeah.
This is totally fine, because I've got a question for you. Is that I presented you with a few choices at the end. As for Moon, like, how did you want to proceed, basically? And I put this heavy choice on Moon's shoulders. Do you think you made the best choice as Moon by following Tim Cross through the rift?
I am uncertain, just because there was a lot that I was still uncertain about, especially when it came to what the void actually was, like what the rift actually meant. Being able to see things through it, I could only assume that there was some other plane of existence. But my goal, the Moon's goal, was to protect protect her friends, whatever that meant, because Tim Cross was an immediate threat. Like Tim Cross immediately was threat number one there. So it was like, how do I hurt this guy because he's gonna hurt these people? Like that's what I have to do now. So I believe that it was the right choice. I don't know if it was the choice that was best for everybody. But in that instance, it was kind of like, okay, if I'm really going to be the villain here, then there's an element of selfishness. There's a lot of selfishness as a villain, but there's going to be that same element of like, well, this guy wronged me and he's right in front of me, so I'm going to go for that. Maybe it was right, maybe it wasn't right. I don't know.
So if I have to like categorize the possible endings, there were probably like 3 or 4 different endings that could have happened. I think the ending that you chose is potentially the greater good ending, where
that's good, because that's what I would want.
long term, you probably did the most good with that ending. I don't know how much I want to say about the other ones.
Yeah, I mean that's
There's been
fair.
some like good theories in the channel, in the public Discord or channel about the potential like other endings that they saw. But what I'll say is I think that one was probably the greater good ending overall. I don't know if I'm going to talk about the other potential endings because they just, I think they reveal too much.
Fair enough.
Myers
We
like
are
red pen crossing some shit out. Okay. Another question from Atalisk. How much did Omnios know about the true nature of Regalia? Was there a way, perhaps using guidance from that entity, to guide the party toward a less destructive outcome? If so, what might that have looked like? I'm not going to say what that might have looked like, but I will say that the questions that you could have posed to Omnios could have been just about anything. They could have vastly changed the outcome about what happened. I don't know what that looks like for the party versus the individual versus the greater good. That's an improv decision, I think. But ultimately, the whole thing behind Omnios was you get the GM to answer a question directly. And their questions made all the difference. So, it could have. It could have. I don't know. I would have probably had to think about it in the moment.
Omnios, what's for dinner tonight?
You're right. I had a question.
That's your one question.
His
Omnios
other question
just
is, what
speaks.
does it taste like? Of course he's going to ask that question. I have a question, even though she's not here, for Faye. And this, Whack, maybe this is something you can answer. Was Judakara, was that religious spiritual connection, was that a connection to like the outside world? Was there some kind of like external influence that was like, oh, because you have this knowledge from Judakara, you got it from some other plane of existence?
No.
So that was part of Regalia?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'd like to touch on that a little bit, in terms of like spirits and stuff like that, because in other worlds and in generally any world, be it real life or like created ones, there tends to be religion, right? We didn't really see religion portrayed within a Regalia necessarily, apart from people understanding the spirits. So we didn't like see any churches or gods or this and that, the other. Like, I guess my question is, were there, or is basically Moon the closest thing they had to like that?
No, there were not. Moon was, in fact, probably the closest to a saint type character. I think in my head, I had always envisioned that they were more connected with the, like, if the comparison would be us looking at like Gaia as a sort of spirit, like the spirit or the voice of the world. I think that I had always had it in my head, and this is primarily because during our world building sessions, we never talked about religion at all.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
We never talked
That's
about
true.
it, so I'm like, okay, it's just not a thing.
All
It's
right.
not a thing here. That was the primary reason, like logistically. It just
There were also places on the world where it was not even applicable, like not even, like Moon wasn't even like a Lanshu, right? A Lanshu was very
isolated.
isolated, removed from the world entirely. So being in that environment was like, wow, it's almost safe in a way.
I thought your rolls when you rolled to see where you teleported were so fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, those were almost haunted rolls because you went.
True.
If I
Very
had
true.
to choose a place for you to go, I think both teleports that you rolled are exactly where I would have chose for you to go.
You're like, basically go through hell and figure things out in the dark and eat mushrooms in a cave. It was perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. This one is from Nowmeister. Open question. How do you think you personally would have fared in a situation like this? So I'm assuming they are talking about each of us being in this situation, ourselves.
Ooh.
I think- yeah, you go
Go
first.
ahead, Mario. You go.
I was gonna say like a lot of like how I played the character of Bo is painted because of the fact that in Fabula Ultima you have like not a title but like whatever it's called, right? And so I chose carefree, and so Bo is more carefree than I necessarily would have been in that situation had I been Bo myself, because obviously the world is really fucked up, especially since you can't see properly and everything is blue and you can't taste, and you know, like how do you make sense of that? But like I think because I've seen and played so many like you know, isekais and MMOs, I think what was that?
Sorry, that was the music change. I don't know why I crescendoed in the
okay.
beginning of the song.
But I've played so many MMOs and stuff like that, so I think I would have probably just played it like that, right? Like find 1,000 boars and level up and then deal with what's happening, you know? Like I don't think it would have been too I think I would have been fine is what I'm saying.
I think when we originally talked about this, I mentioned to the players, like, hey, you're going to go to Regalia. Like, think about normal people getting transported to another world with dangers and stuff that are way different than ours. And monsters and shit exist. I was like, dude, 90% of the people that get teleported are just dead, like in the first 10 minutes. You know? Like, it's just wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd be shitting my pants, dude. Like, I think there would be no possible way that me as a person would be able to hack it in that environment, because I'm a creature of comfort. And I would be like, what do you mean I have to stay overnight in a cave and it's cold and I have to eat something that just looks like meat, maybe is meat? There'd be no way, dude. There'd be no way. I guess
think it
Jan,
depends
as
on-
like a hard-boiled accountant, is like, well, I have to do this in order to survive. But me as Elspeth would be like, fuck this. Like, there's no way I'd go out and go for a kaiju if I were in a comfy hotel like Moon did. Elspeth would not. Elspeth would be like, a bath time.
That's a
Bath
fair
time.
point. I think that like it depends on how I perceive the world. Like,
Right?
you know,
Yeah. It'd be
yeah.
like, I don't just, no way, man. That's that's pain.
like when we spawned in, we saw a quest log. So like I think if I still felt the world was a game, I'd play it like that and not necessarily. I think I would know far too late that, oh, I can die and this was a bad idea, you know?
Stella?
I don't
never
know
heard
if
this
I'd be any
tracking game.
different. A lot
Yeah,
of
go ahead, Stella.
sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
A lot of the pull I have of my characters and their decisions, I try not to make them a literal facsimile of me, but I feel like a lot of their instinct does come from what I would generally do. Maybe just a little bit of a different flavor. I think I'd suffer. Oh my god. I think I'd go in with the same mentality as Rue, and I would just suffer so terribly the consequences to all of my actions immediately.
So in jail. You'd be in jail.
In jail.
Yeah.
Straight to jail.
Yeah.
Straight to jail.
If we're basing this off of our world that we live in now, yeah, I mean, I don't know. If we have the knowledge we have now, we know what isekais are, presumably, and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess I'm the weirdo that would enjoy myself. I wouldn't put myself in any weird danger. I'm an information hog, so I would get all the information possible. And ask people, like, you know, how do they deal with daily lives? Where do I go to register? How do I train? This, that, and the other. What, you know, where's the best place to live in?
You're finding a big city right away that you can feel safe in.
Yeah. Because, you know, and you just take it slow. I think the thing that a lot of animes do is these people are just like, they're either told by whoever brings them to that world everything, you know, and like, you have this magic power and you'll learn how to do this, and they're born a baby or something like that. I would just take it slow and like be accustomed to it. And as years go by, then I'll adjust myself how I see fit. But I would say, hell, man, I get a second chance, you know, like a second chance at life and get to like start over when nobody knows me. I'd probably be all for that, you know, I mean, basing off of this. And if something happens to me, I'd be like, I tried, you know, and just go from there. I'm always,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, what were you going to ask?
Do you think each one of you would be an adventurer, or would you like settle down or pursue something specific?
I've
Eventually.
always wanted to play an MMO where I could just do it as like a blacksmith. Ever since there's this one character in Sword Art Online Season 1 called Egil, who is like, that's what he did. Like, Kirito's out there, like, you know, leveling up, and he's just like the max level blacksmith, like making all the shit. Like, that would have been me. So, like, I wouldn't have necessarily been in danger because I would just be max level, like, just the crafting guy.
Your transformation to Cord is going pretty well. I mean, you got the mustache going on. You're
Like, you.
talking about blacksmithing.
The skin bleach is in the mail.
I think I'd be like I'd open a cafe and just cook, just spam cooking.
Oh, yeah.
There's an anime like that.
Yeah. You just gotta. Yeah. I mean, there's a few now. Are you doing a
I'd bring
delicious
Korean
and dungeon thing?
barbecue to Regalia.
Oh,
See, I
Oh
think
my
that's
God.
dope. I love that about isekais, where they take a part of the world they were in and bring it there, and it becomes like this big hit. And there's this one anime called something Magician. I forgot what it was called. I think it's got a long title and it says Magician at the end. And he's a water magician. I think that maybe that's the title, Water Magician.
I know which one you're talking about.
And when he was there, he loves to eat, you know, and he's just like, what is this yummy food? They were like, curry. He was like, what? You know, like, what do you mean curry? This is from where I am. And they were like, oh yeah, there was a hero here before that, you know, that came and brought curry. And I was like, that's so cool, you know, to have as an
influence
aspect
the
in
world.
isekai.
Change the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
So dope.
I actually think I'd be the same as Frank. I would probably go I'd try and get myself safe as quickly as, like, get the fuck out of the woods or wherever I spawn in, wherever. Get me the fuck out of here. I'm not trying to fight a monster right away. I will run and hide and try and get to a city and then try and figure out how to live in this world. And then I think I would actually really love it and thrive there, honestly. For me, it also, like, I'm assuming we're saying that we've got the system as well, which having the interface that we're familiar with, seeing like stats and stuff for myself and just being like, dude, you never de-level on anything, you know, like you hit the gym and you just always stay that strong. Yeah, I'm down. Look me up. I don't want to fucking like eat a cheeseburger and then see my stat go down. Like, fuck that, you know? Yeah, I think I'd love it personally. It would be.
That's fair. We don't have stats in real life. There's nothing that's like
We always have to guess.
statistically.
We have to
Here's your
guess.
strength. Like, what the fuck? You don't know. It's all
You can
relative.
see your
I
skill.
have another question.
Yeah.
If seeing like the quest log and all that kind of stuff was just like in our heads, okay, fine. But like, explain the bag of holding. Like, how did that work? Like,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the bag of holding was straight up just dimensional magic. Just dimensional magic. There were other NPCs that had it as well. Just a
Okay.
different version. Yours was flavored that way because that's the way that you saw Regalia when you played the
I
game and you
see.
arrived. Just
So
So
dimensional magic.
any question that we're like, how did this work, Whack? You're gonna be like, well, it was the Mary Poppins bag. It was just time, space continuum.
Okay, what is your standard MMO character? The one you'd likely have gotten stuck as if this happened to you.
Jesus, who asked that?
No, Meister.
Wow, good question. Very good question.
Can you repeat the question, please? I wasn't listening.
What is your standard MMO character? The one you'd likely have gotten stuck as if this happened to you.
Ranger. Elf
Play
Ranger.
MMOs.
I
So I don't
literally
know.
put like 20 hours into Guild Wars 2 just
Today.
recently.
Today.
Today. Today's the last day. If you want expansions 1 through 3 for $25,
Anybody else?
I would say I would use Final Fantasy 14 and say like blacksmith. There you go. Not necessarily standard, but that's what I would do, or what character I would want to be in this world, essentially.
Is there like a lore keeper, like a librarian? Because that's
Lore keeper
probably what I
exists
would.
as,
Yeah,
a,
the
as, a,
scholars.
as a class.
That's
though.
what I would
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd want to be the scholar because I think that it actually, in a way, it would be like Tim Cross, but the opposite of Tim Cross.
Well,
Like knowledge is power, but because
Tim
know,
Cross
to be
is a sociopath scientist. You could look at it from the perspective of one of the sages in Nocisia.
from Nocisia. Yeah.
true.
Hang
They're
out with a giant
basically lore
squirrel.
keepers.
Yeah, lore keeper.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That would be cool. And also safe because no one's coming into the library to be like, give me your cash.
Unless it's Rue.
True.
Unless it's a roof.
I played too many MMOs, man. The ones that I normally make, the characters I normally make, I'm always, God, it's a bad trait. I'm always trying to balance crap. Like I always let everyone else pick what they want, and then I just kind of end up being whatever, you know. And then I try to find some happiness. Yeah, I'm a filler. I need to stop doing it. I do that in real life too. I like always put everyone before me. I don't try to. I always do that. So I'm trying to work on that. So in MMOs, when I make a character, I typically either go ranged or stealthy character because you got to get the best of all worlds as a stealth character, and you don't just throw yourself out to get beat on constantly. And I typically play those characters a lot in these TTRPGs. I think the only one I didn't do it was Rhyme of the Frostmaiden. But I think every character I played was more of a dexterous style character, and I think that's what I would do because why not put a stat where things don't hit you often, so but if we had stats in the world, yeah, I'd go ham. The old careful Frank would have been out the window. I would have just been like, I gotta level up, man. Solo leveling is that anime is me essentially. If I was isekai'd and I had a system tell me that this is what you do to get stronger, it would have been game over with that. But yeah, probably a dexterous style character.
I think I would be a tinkerer. I like making stuff. I like crafting stuff. I like doing that. I think that I would probably be either some kind of alchemist, or I just like making stuff in general. So I think that Myers a blacksmith, I'd probably be like a tinkerer. There's a fucking hilarious manhwa called Greatest Real Estate Developer. And it sounds really stupid, and it kind of is, but it's one of the funniest fucking manhwas I've ever read, because this guy takes all of his like engineering and construction knowledge to this other world, and he's like, people don't know how to heat their houses here. And he's just like, and he's just like pure capitalism. Like, he's just like, okay. He's like, I'm going to fucking show everybody how to do this shit. But he's got like good intentions behind it. He, in his head, he's like the fucking sociopath, like lizard brain capitalist guy. But he's really like helping all these people and shit. Yeah, I would I would probably try to do like the tinkerer thing where I'd just be like, I'd look at what we have in our world and I'd probably just be like, how come we don't have this shit here? Like, hey, why doesn't everybody have a fucking cell phone? You know, like, figure that shit out. Yeah, I'd probably do something like that. That's my guess.
Did you see the anime where he's an accountant and he was summoned to a world and that lord knew of this other world and he was an accountant? And basically, it kind of reminds me of that he would bring in everything from Japan in that world and sell it and make money. And it was crazy. What a crazy anime, but it was really good.
Yep. It's a similar kind of idea in this.
Yeah.
What was your funniest moment and what was your most heartbreaking moment?
Oh my God. Funniest moment was the pseudo dildos. I just don't even know why that even, you don't remember that?
I don't remember either.
What? We were on the ship and they were like, we have toys, and they were bringing out, did that happen in a dream? Is nobody remember this shit? Fuck, don't look at me like I'm crazy.
51 episodes, dude. I just can't remember.
Okay.
I'm trying to rack my brain, dude.
Faye and I had our cameras off to like maximize on the unhingedness. We just put a bunch of things on the table and we're like, oh, these
and
could
they fell
be dildos.
into Bo. Yeah.
I remember.
Right.
I laughed about that. I thought it was funny. Simple brain. What was the other question?
What was the most heartbreaking moment?
Oh. For me, it was at the end when Moon came up and she's like, Enders, and I'm like summoning this fucking man, I almost broke because I was like, all right, Frank, you have a decision, you can. And then when Black was like, are you bringing it down or are you not? And I was like, this is such a good question. She's vulnerable, like she's hurt. This is the chance to end Moon or the Valkyrie. And I know every cast member might be mad at me, and then like in the chat will be mad, and they'll just be like, "Typical Frank, same character shit," you know. So I didn't want to be that guy, but I almost broke because I was just like, Els has really, really good facial expressions, and it always fucks me up. So when I'm doing a scene with her, I don't look at her on camera. I look straight here because she has these looks, and she can go from this to this like really fast. And when she was doing this, I envisioned her looking up at me, and everything was. I was just like, "Oh fuck, I can't do this. I'm gonna just."
Lisa, spare me.
Yeah, I was like, I'm turning my camera off. God damn! And there was a scene.
I made a mistake.
Yeah, and there was a scene with Koga. I think he was in the car, and he mentioned like, "Hey, I heard the things about you," and she got straight face. I like screen capped it because I was like, I would never want to piss her off, bro. Like that face she made was like, watch what you say, you know. And I was just like, I never want to piss Elle Smith off. So those are my two big moments. Your facial expressions are dead to fuck on. You'd be hilarious to do on cameras acting with, because I'd lose it.
Anybody else? Funniest moments, most heartbreaking
This wasn't
moments.
a comedy whack.
It's a dramedy.
It's right.
Sort of.
I mean, yeah, go on.
No, please, you.
I mean, clearly the most heartbreaking moment was the initial betrayal, right? You know, like when Moon had to like, you know, kill everybody, because obviously we didn't. I mean, like obviously Frank had his suspicions, but as characters, it kind of came out of left field. You know, like obviously Tim Cross showed up and like transformed her, but like it was the whole oh, this is villain detected. Oh, okay. What about all the shit we did, like all the food and stuff? That's never happening again. It was like kind of like Bo going, oh, okay, I kind of lost this connection now. And yeah, I think it was heartbreaking in character for Bo, but also I'm like, nobody else is a glutton. There goes all my food jokes. Anyway, yeah, but as for like funny moments, I think that there were a lot of really like just in general, I just enjoyed everything about the show. I mean, like I don't have one funny moment that I want to put on top of anything else at this moment. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other last thoughts?
My saddest moment was right before Rue got killed, and the "That's you, babe" scene, where oh my god, I cried.
No.
It was so good. Just the self-reflection of like, yeah, you're all fucked up right now, but this is still you. You're still you, even if you're making all the worst decisions.
Mm.
And like still accepting
Yeah.
Moon despite all of that. Ugh!
Mm-hmm. Yep. Dude,
Killed me and I still loved you.
I know. God, dude. So I'm thinking of like funny moments because there were so many moments where I was like, "That sucks," but a lot at the Gafran estate, I felt like we had such gaffes. Like with Bo being like, well, like I can't taste anything. He was like going through and like just rolling on the table trying to taste things. I remember Ender showing up when Moon is like taking a bath and he's like, bah! That was hilarious. And the Rue, I mean, not just setting fire to things, but like every time there was an opportunity to pickpocket, every single time, it was like, can I attempt to take this? Can I attempt to knock this over? Can I attempt
Skyrim.
just full send? Like it was just like I appreciated that so much. I'm like, oh my god, like we're role playing, but Rue was like, no, I'm taking this. I'm pilfering this because that's what you would do, and it was like, it was just so good. But like, dude, the heartbreaking was like, I don't even know if that's a way to like describe it, because it was heartbreaking in a way where I was like, dude, how can Moon go past this and be like, oh yeah, we can heal from that. Like what? I remember in the restaurant there was like a flashback and there was a scene where Riley and Jan were talking outside of the game entirely, and we're just having breakfast together. That was such a hard scene to do because it was yes, because it was like this word that kept bringing us back to the reality that we were human before this. We weren't always like characters. We weren't cat people or a savior. It was like we're having a conversation over breakfast. And
that scene was us defining the first time we said mimosas.
Yes.
And it was accompanied with the promise of, we'll check in with each other. This is going to be the start of our renewed friendship.
Yeah,
we had fallen apart over time.
Yeah, man. That shit broke, that almost broke me. I had a lump in my throat like almost the whole time we did that scene, because I was like, dude, there's like history here that we didn't even touch on in the show, but there was history there that went so far back, and now it's just gone because this one character got transported into a world where now she's just fully removed from her old life. So it was just like, man, we're touching on a lot of nostalgia that you find while you're playing the character. You're like, oh yeah, we had this intense connection. Oh no, where is it now? Like
Oh yeah, one more funny thing I guess was like the side quest cameo. The way that you introduced them all with different names and then came up with Dickard.
Dickard.
No, it's Dicker.
Right.
Dicker.
Oh yeah, Dicker, yeah. It's even worse! That was amazing.
Yeah, I purely did that out of spite because Brad put your characters in fucking side quests.
Yeah.
Pure spite. I think my most heartbreaking moment on the show was probably when Rue and Moon were potentially going to leave the group together, and then Moon decided to just drop Rue.
Yeah. Went back to Greg to be like, okay, take care.
Yeah.
Take care of each other. Goodbye.
Yep.
Babysit this cat girl.
Like,
See ya.
yeah.
My people
Yeah.
leave me.
Yep. That to me, it was a combination of a goodbye, you're not going to be able to understand what I'm going through, and a physical like representation of that just dropping through like in the sky, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
It kind of, it was very dreamlike, I think, not just for me to play that, but to be like, what is your intention in a dream? When you're like, oh my God, I almost dropped my friend. You don't want to hurt them. But in a dream, you're like, well, there's a lot that I can't control here. There's a lot that feels out of my, like, uh-oh, a shark just ate everybody. What do I do now? So it was like okay, just do your best. Don't hurt your friend anymore. And play, go off of like, okay, I just chopped a dragon's head off. What do you do now? What do you do now? How do you
love that
where do you
dragon.
go to what?
I love that fucking dragon.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry about that dragon.
I was like, man, this dragon's so cool. I chop his fucking head off.
Chop the head off.
So there was a point in time when Moon actually did fully lose herself. I'm not sure exactly when, simply because like
Happened a few times.
Yes, but she exposited in the last episode. She looked at them and said, "I don't even remember who you people are anymore." So like she was doing all she was doing, saving the world, saving us, even though she didn't know who we were. At what point did that happen? Was it just like to do with the role you asked to roll, or did it happen before and you were trying to see if you remembered? Because obviously she was trying to find us and help us and this, that, the other. But like, I'm just trying to think, was that Jan? Or was that just more the core of who she actually was, like in her actions? Because, she was all powerful. She could have decided to be selfish and destroy things. But instead, she was like, no, I feel this need to reconcile with, even if I don't know these people, I feel I need to be a savior. It's like almost being a savior was like, when did that happen? And am I misinterpreting?
No, not at all. I think that there was, I don't know if there was so much a switch as I wanted really to play it like she was not just losing her sense of self. Like Wax said at the beginning, where it's like everyone had their own perspective of regalia and what that meant. Her perspective was so gone, right? Like, because if you can create something from nothing and you eventually start crafting a torso out of thin air, and then that person wakes up and they're like, you're like, what am I? What have I done? Maybe I'm not even like who I am anymore. And so I think it was really like, let's play this as not just as if there's amnesia there, right? But as if there's like a really, really, really good memory that you just don't want to fuck up. And you want to go back to that memory so badly. And that memory is what keeps you going. You're just like, no, I have nostalgia for that, and I would never want to mess that up. Even though you might have already messed it up in the future, you're like, I still hold on to these core memories, and you don't remember why. It's like this: she was lawful good, and then became this chaotic, not good at all. But thinking that you're doing good, right? Which is like at the core of a villain, they don't know that they're being intrinsically harmful to people. So that was like just split that up. See if you can make it like Jan really wants to do good, and maybe that's why she got here where she is to be the savior level. But now that she's at this level, where else can you go, and how do you manage that amount of power, and how do you relate to people? And how do you not lose yourself after a decade?
I think you did a really good job with just the mania in general, because it felt like there were a lot of impulsive decisions that were made.
Sure.
And
I liked being able to explore that, though, because in real life, I don't consider myself to be manic. I tend to think about things, but with this, it was like, I allowed myself to be impulsive. I was like, what happens? What happens if she just does this?
Well, this kind of goes back to the transcendental sort of the philosophy that I was talking about of like, a celebrity that becomes famous overnight, and they have all this power and money, and it's like, dude, they're still just people, and like you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like you don't know how to navigate this new world.
People that lose themselves completely, like celebrities, or who have that amount of sudden fame or power, or like people almost depending on you to be this version of what you are, and you can't, and you don't have that. You don't see that for yourself. You're not that. What does that look like? How do you reconcile with this image of what people have approved, you know, and go to a version of like, well, that's not a feasible path.
Yeah.
That's not something you can continue to do or uphold.
I personally, I loved all the impulsivity, and I think that the choices at the end and Moon being like really confused, because I loved Ender's sort of playing off of it as well, of like Ender's like being super confused about what Moon was saying, because Moon didn't fucking know what she was saying, because it was just all it was all like
she did. It was just, it sounds like, what the fuck are you talking about, flying car? Like, what do you mean,
That was
kaiju?
amazing.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, and also, where the fuck is Laser Cravenmore?
in space. He's just
What is a laser
in
craving
space.
more?
Laser Cravenmore.
She wants to eat lasers?
It's just gravity. You know, the movie Gravity. He's just like he's like rotating in space. Fuck. You know, just the worst ending for Laser.
Good.
For sure.
Good.
Yep. Okay, moving on. More questions for me. Let's skip those. I know people are gonna want this. What was the nature of Regalia with regards to the Rift? Was it like a hub world where many worlds could be accessed easily from it, or did someone create the Rift in order to access all these other worlds? I'm gonna partially answer this question. The origins of the Rift, I'm not going to talk about, but I will say that the Rift has access to the multiverse in general. Is it a wormhole? No, it is not a wormhole. It is not
It's
just
a
like
slug hole.
yeah, it's not just like a portal to another place. It allows it's like a potential possibility and allowing you to potentially go somewhere else, but it's not its primary purpose.
Is that okay? Wait a minute. So if that was that why Enders was allowed to split, like deviate, because this world was split?
Enders was allowed to split because that was kind of going on in his psyche. If you're asking what was the in-between, the in-between was sort of a, how should I say this? It basically, because of the player's magic and the magic on this world, people were able to, that was the representation of what people see as kind of a purgatory, and just like being able to understand it. A lot of the stuff that you experienced is manifested by your thoughts and your perspectives and your beliefs. So that in between was created or exists as a sort of space between death and life. So you can potentially see other possibilities there as well, that sort of represent different desires and I guess like branching paths for, you know, your essence or the soul, kind of.
So I have another question, sorry. When Moon had a relationship with the Dragon Empress, was that manifested? Or was that real?
I think that's up to you.
Oh, come on. We're at a Q&A.
I'm saying it's your decision right now.
Oh, man, what a mess. What a mess.
I don't want to make that decision for you.
Maybe 50-50, just because if you're already like, well, I'm kind of crushing, maybe it was real. I don't know.
I don't see why it couldn't be real.
Yeah. She seemed very upset. So, know, that's
So-
pretty real. Why not both?
Hmm.
I mean, how do you get the courage to ask anybody out in general? I mean, you have to kind of manifest the courage to do it. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna skip around. We have so many questions, and we don't have a ton of time, so I just want to try and cane through some of these. Did anyone outside of our main 4 players group survive unmutated, or does the fact nobody seems to have seen any heroes for a while indicate they're all gone?
Unmutated.
I like to imagine that there are some people that survived that kind of retired quietly.
Maybe they blended in.
Or hermited, and they just don't live near anybody, and nobody really does that. Or they talk to the people and say, yeah, you know, I used to be a hero, and
Took an arrow to the knee.
and you know, I did my time, and you know, I helped, and I was in these battles, and I just retired.
I guess the biggest difference was that they were not friends with Moon.
Or gained the celebrity, or the success. You know, maybe they just did a shitty job. You know, that's another possibility. It's like, hey, they do exist in this world. Yeah, they like level up fast, but maybe they're just shit at it. You know, like it could just be all luck. You know, like, hey, they survived. They spawned near a city, and they got there, and yeah, they just didn't run into any fucking monsters, and they just kind of did their own thing, and they don't really know how to play Regalia, or they maybe played it once or something, and they were at this convention, and maybe they were a parent for somebody else, you know, who knows? Could have been anything. But I didn't make a solid choice on that. I wanted to leave things open-ended on purpose, just to allow things to happen during the show. I didn't know what kind of one-shots I'd do or what have you, so I left that kind of open-ended, just logistically. How are kaijus made? And I know that people are going to ask me this one. Okay, so kaijus are mutations of creatures, and Tim Cross further developed research with Laser Cravenmore to turn heroes or dead heroes into kaijus. So they're essentially powerful mutations, and Emberstone was a driving factor there.
Interesting.
It's like kind of like an Attack on Titan situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad canonically I never ate any heart of a kaiju. Or
Yeah.
no, never did.
Well, it would have been
At least I don't
Emberstone.
think. Yeah, it would have been Emberstone though. Oof.
And for that matter, why did specific enemies trigger that weird feeling vision response for all the players when defeated?
Oh yeah.
That happened, and again, I hate giving kind of a similar answer that I gave previously. That was sort of self-inflicted. That was potentially your memories from Earth and possibility of thinking of these being humans and like real people, or sort of like destroying a fantasy, or almost feeling like you're murdering somebody. That judgment was from you.
Oh, so it wasn't a systemic thing?
Nope.
Interesting.
It was just it was one of those little hint things that I put in there to like try and imagine what you feel as human beings in Regalia, and it was just a little echo of that kind of going off in the background.
Okay.
I like that answer more than what I thought it was, because I thought it was just past heroes that became more accumulated to the world. But I do like that answer for the simple fact of I never thought about if I was in a different world when you know, if there's questing or not questing and you have to take someone out, especially if I play a rogue style character or an assassin style character. We make those characters all day on games and you take out NPCs, but how does it feel to really actually sink a blade into somebody, right?
I think about that shit all the time.
Actually an assassin whack.
Yeah. And like you put it in, blood actually comes out and you're like, holy fuck. Oh my God. This is real. Fuck. You know,
one of those things I tried to impart on you like early. I was like, no, this, when you drink a health potion, it's the greatest thing you've ever drank. You know, it's just like you feel your wounds close up. You feel like those little aches and pains go away. You know, and then like when you get hit by a fucking knife, somebody just fucking stabbed you. Like it hurts. It's the worst pain you've ever felt in your life. Fucking horrible. I try to impart that shit on you because it's like
healing potion. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say it kind of like it's like when you like your leg falls asleep and you stand back up. You're like, oh, my leg. I kind of imagine a healing potion is like it gets rid of all the little staticky parts in your muscles. That's just like, oh my God, dude. Now it's like the feeling, the sensation of being alive is like flooding back into your body.
I just all the like instant recovery type items. I just imagine as like the greatest fucking thing you've ever had in your life. Like imagine just all your aches and pains just growing older. You know, like I got knee problems and ankle problems and foot problems. Like, dude, if that shit just went away, just have, you know, it's gone. What the fuck? That'd be the greatest thing ever. Yeah, you know,
just drink everything. That makes sense why pots cost so damn much now. You know, it's like imagine having the answer to everything in a pot. You're like, fuck, I had a bad day at work, and next thing you know, you're just drinking pots all day. Yeah, waste all your money.
It's so when you use magic spells, that was the thing I tried to like, yeah, you fucking get like a crazy headache because what you did when you just cast a magic spell in this was you essentially tapped into chaos and applied rules to it, and your brain was the medium for that. And like you get a fucking headache and it just feels like you just played chess with a world champion chess player, you know, for hours and hours and hours in a little moment. Or you took.
I had this discussion the other day because I just started a book club and we're reading Mistborn, and I've never really read that book. And I'm a big fan of consequences. You know, I don't believe in somebody having great power without having the responsibility or consequence behind it. So like you just think about you casting a fire spell. Like if you hold that fire spell in your hand, eventually it's gonna burn you. I mean, there's no rule about like this thing is not gonna burn your hands, you know, or whatever like that until you master it, until you become a grandmaster magician and you know the rules behind it. So having like early people throw fire and stuff, and that shit catches like a sleeve on fire, and they're like, holy fuck, you know, like that stuff to me is what makes magic really cool. And in that Mistborn book, they have like all these consequences. It's like, yeah, you can take this and use this. If you use it up, like they have this thing called pewter where it like enhances your body, and you could take a shot, right, or take a knife. But if you time it wrong, you could hurt yourself pretty bad because that thing runs out. You're just normal. So I love that. I wish more GMs would get into the idea behind, you know, consequences being a real thing when it comes to these things, because that way players won't just be like, let's go fight this, let's go fight that, you know, and you have to actually think about it. So hopefully in the future, I would love to see you do a show where it's like heavy consequential stuff, you know.
I mean,
it'd be really cool.
When we talked about our answers for like what kind of characters we'd be in this situation, like one of the reasons I'd be a tinkerer is because, you know, like Monster Hunter, Shadow of the Colossus, I can't play those games. I can't even play them because I can't see even this video game animal like suffering and running away, and then I have to go chase it and fucking kill it. Like, like I'd lose my fucking mind. I couldn't do that in real life. Are you crazy? Like maybe if I absolutely had to, and like the worst case scenario happened, and I had to fucking do it to stay alive, maybe. But that's why I'm playing the fucking Tinkerer in town. I'm like, come to the fucking stand. I got potions. This shit'll heal you right up. Come on.
Seriously, man. Like, I'm not about to go smash a dinosaur with a bagpipe. It's just not who I am.
No.
That's so fucking funny. That would be hilarious to see. You trained all this time. You're hitting this shit and it runs away and just like, fuck that. You know, you just leave.
I just wounded that poor animal. I'm not chasing after and
Well,
killing
you
that
see, Whack, you're meant to have a pitfall trap so that when it's limping away, it falls inside so it doesn't have a chance to go away and sleep. And then you can drop bombs around it, and then your cat cooks it.
Yeah.
Medium.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, I'm never doing that.
How long it takes to fucking dig a hole. So funny.
Let's see. I could answer this question partially. The question from Deciduous Pine. Who encased the rest of the party in Emberstone?
Okay, how did that happen?
Cross.
That bastard.
Tim Cross.
Tim Cross.
Tim
did.
Cross.
So wait a minute. He encased us. Okay, so that means we all ended up being in Regalia 10 years ago. And he just encased us?
Maybe.
Okay. It makes more sense to me that we were there for 10 years and we just woke up in those body things. I mean, that's what I figured, because the other way around, I just couldn't connect anything besides the fact that we were there, that we were just encased.
If you had investigated the spawn point where you woke up, you would have found that there was, and I had this on the actual overlay.
Ooh.
There was a downed ship.
A
Nearby.
downed ship.
Yep. There was
I think
a
you
ship.
mentioned,
Yep.
was it an airship? I think you mentioned some kind of ship.
There was an airship right nearby. That's
Yeah,
where
I remember you mentioning that.
Okay,
Gave
moving
us
on.
the old
What?
Baldur's Gate 3 Nautilus beginning.
There was a whole big storyline part that could have been investigated there. Didn't go super hard. I thought you guys for sure would have done crazy investigations where you spawned in. Didn't happen. But yeah, that would have led to a very different potential storyline there. Okay, this question is from Debiru. Question for Technique. Enders being a hidden half-elf seems reminiscent to a past character that I won't name for spoilers to another show. Was this an intentional nod to him, or was it coincidental?
It was definitely coincidental because I try not to make the same character in the same day, unless it's like a season 2, which we never got. So what I try to do is I like to connect story points, beats, and I don't want them to just sit and fly up in the air and not be there, because I know all of you theory crafters are thinking about that stuff. So when Brack was like, let's do a backstory, and I was like, well, Enders has a family, and since he's all split up and they picked blue Enders, it made sense to me that this Enders was the lost one, the one that devoid of emotion, because he's been there and in between for so long. He just he's had to relearn stuff and relearn about himself and all this good stuff. And depending on who they picked, that backstory was going to be kind of like built out as we went along. And it just made so much sense, because everyone was like, why is he so attached to the Empress, and why is Syntharis? And then I've been making hints all throughout this whole show. Once I started thinking about it, everyone was shitting on Syntharis like the whole time, and I was just like, what makes the other side better than Syntharis? They both have selfish means, they both think that they're making the right decisions. Just because you go about it the wrong way doesn't mean that you're an evil. It's just that some people have disagreements, and I never wanted it to be this side versus this side. So I was like, what if Ender's mother was from Syntharis and she was a person that was known for great power, but instead of taking that to the next level, she fell in love with like the military guy that's all about business, just by being a negotiator between parties. And she spent a lot of time with the sages and the scribes and got a lot of knowledge, hence her alchemy and her magic. And she put all the knowledge she had, she put it away, locked it away, and Enders found it. He was like, I'll be what you couldn't be, and I'll make sure people know that Syntharis is not the evil and this, that, and the other, and you shouldn't be hiding it. And she was like, you should hide it. You know, you should definitely hide it, because the world is ugly and they don't understand. We're going through wars every day, and I don't want you to be a factor of that. I don't want you to end up what I could have been. And so I thought it was a really good story beat, especially with Iris being from Ellendrath. And it just kind of worked out that way, you know. I wasn't going back to another character or anything like that. Essentially, Enders was going to be an elf, but we already had an elf, because when we brought Faye on, it was kind of like up in the air, and she took that role because I think Brad eventually was going to end up being an elf at some point.
Brad was gonna be the default elf.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I wanted it to like represent each, you know, part of the world we create. We spent so much time on it. So it just kind of happened that way. And I think, and I really liked where it ended. I think we got a lot roundabout, and especially with the ending between, you know, the finding out the origin, what happened between Enders and Iris. It just kind of worked out really well. I would have loved to gone to Braum and like see what happened, but the fact that I sent the letter off to the Empress, and I was going to say, tell my parents, you know, how I feel, but I was like, wait a minute, they probably think he's dead. Holy shit.
Absolutely do.
Yeah. So what if he says that and he does die, and then, you know, then it's going to, Braum is gonna be like, okay, the Empress is a fucking liar, you know, like this is what. So I thought about that, and I was like, I'll tell her myself if I get out of this, you know. And I thought that was a really good ending for him. And to seeing them fall out of the sky, we don't know what happens, right? And then it just leads to that. And I guess the question is, what would he do? What we will all do once we wake, if we wake up. Once we wake up, what do we do now? You know, and it's like, and just goes home. Fuck. You know, tells his parents I'm alive, and he has to explain everything. You know, if that's the case, if they're still there, who knows? Like, you know, who knows? So yeah, no ode to that character. Everyone seemed to have loved that character in Gatewalkers, and I would one day, who knows, you know, but I'm pretty happy with Enders where he is, and it was all just a winky dink.
I love that you did the Syntharis connection, because one of the things that I was trying to do was to show that a lot of choices that entire nations make are so complicated and weird and different, and like no one is going to get 100% of what they want ever about any big decision about anything. So Ellendrath and Syntharis is one group right, is one group wrong. I mean, you could kind of argue that Ellendrath is more right just because of like, hey, you know, they did this Emberstone research. Tim Cross did what Ellendrath was trying to say. Don't do this. It's going to affect the Stormveil Rift. And did it affect the Stormveil Rift? Yes, it did. So they were right about that. Could it have just been, you know, just prejudice? Like as well, like, yeah, it could have just been that, like, over time. So you never really know, you know, like these are things that play out over many years, and like many small decisions accumulate to a bigger decision about all of this. But I wanted to show that all of these places still have depth. Like out of all of the countries, I wanted you to go to Millifax the most. I really tried to push you to go there. I railroaded you a bit to get you to Millifax, because I wanted you to see, like, yeah, this is the big bad evil empire. But when you get there, it just looks like a place. It's just a place. It's just another place. Do they have different views? Is there propaganda? Yeah. Do the people have any real control over that? No. They just fucking live there, man. They just fucking live there. You know? So it was one of those things where I wanted you to go to Syntharis. I wanted you to go to Millifax, primarily because those are really seen as the big bad countries in this setting, as well as Cryptia. You know, Cryptia is also just another weird place. When Meyer came up with the idea, I was like, how the fuck am I gonna do this? I was like, how do I do this? But I focus just on the NPCs for that place because that place is genuinely bad. Like that's genuinely just a really fucked up place.
I have fond memories of Cryptia.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that you went with Syntharis just to show the depth that like there's still substance here. You can't just label something evil or good or whatever and there's nothing else. It's not just black and white. It's all gray. Like you might have some fluctuations on the good and bad scale over time. You never really just
no one's perfect.
Putting anything into that. It is what it is. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Here's another good question, I think. Biru also asks Meyer, since we saw so little of Bo as a human, I was curious how much of his personality was the same and how much had changed living as a slime, such as were there some aspects that weren't physical, like his body and sight, that changed how Bo acted or thought in Regalia as opposed to how Bo as the human acted?
Oh, well, Bo as a human is a lot more boring, a lot more rules adhering, and a lot more just kind of trying to get by so he can, like, go back to his Discord channel and stuff and hang out and sell things on eBay.
But when he actually went to Regalia, quite a few things changed how he perceived life in general. Like, first of all, he essentially gets blinded and his tongue pulled out, but he's unable to panic or freak out about it because it just so happens that the traits were, I don't have the game pulled up, but a carefree slime. It was a mischievous slime without a care in the world. And so because of those lines, a mischievous slime without a care in the world, everything that happened to him was painted by that. So instead of I have no mouth and I can't scream, it's I have no mouth and, well, what does it taste like anyway? So that's it. He wasn't able to, he was intensely repressed from his true self, because his true self would have just been freaking out, would have just probably eaten everybody.
Perspective,
because
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Perspective thing. Bo's perspective was way different.
The question was, did Regalia change Bo, or what was Bo like in reality? So because of his I forget the name. Is it trait? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of his character trait, he had all the memories of Earth and stuff and renegade choice, but he wouldn't have been chill enough to be able to do that and pull that without being a carefree slime, or a mischievous slime without care in the world, basically.
Yeah.
Another question from Debiru. Was there a reason for why some of the party was being integrated into Regalia with their character memories of a life here, like with Enders, and to a softer extent Iris, but not with Bo or Rue, until it was basically jump-started with the Knowledge Arcanum? Was this an individual thing decided by the players, something decided by WAC, or by roles?
It was individual. I remember this explicitly. It was before episode 1,
yep.
and Frank asked about the world changing us, and then WAC basically just said, "You do you." So in that moment, I was like, well, okay, I'm just gonna do this the isekais or whatever, and just play that as opposed to losing myself. And then in that same episode 1, Frank, not our Frank, but Frank's character Frank, so I guess our Frank playing character Frank, was like, wait, what? What real world? So it happened that early on, but there were no roles for it. It was just player choice, and then we all had our own visions for where we wanted the story to go, or what our characters would experience, but it wasn't in any way, shape, or form shaped by WAC.
Yep.
Yeah, I figured if we had a 10-year gap, I always thought that we were always there for 10 years and we just finally woke up. And the crystal, that made sense to me, and I kind of went with that, and I was like, damn, imagine being asleep for a whole 10 damn years.
I didn't realize
and
that.
your mind is gonna be foggy. Everything is gonna be slower for you and foggy, and it's just and Frank was already done. He's just like, God, I don't want to remember what happened. I just want to, we need to get out of here. Like, why are we spending time standing here when there's fucking monsters and shit? You know, let's just go, accept for what it is, find out what's going on in this world. And you know what? This world already seems better. We got powers, you know? I mean, that's the power fantasy of being a gamer, encapsulating this stuff, that you have these new powers, newfound ability, you have a fresh start. Why dwell on the past? You know, it's kind of where he was. And I figured there's that mental game that if you believe something so much, it starts to take over, you know? And then it was like, he was so, this feels real. This tastes real. I got stabbed. The shit felt real. So to me, it accelerated. It accelerated his mind to be like, yeah, I got fucking stabbed. That shit hurt. It actually hurt, you know? So it, you know, it accelerated his mind to accept that world. Like, how can you go back after getting stabbed? He's never been stabbed.
I think
you know?
pain would probably be the first indication of, oh shit, this is real.
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh
shit,
I'm bleeding. Fuck. You know, like, this is crazy stuff. He's been protected all his life. He's a celebrity.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever had a really serious injury in real life, that shit that's a clarifying moment for you. I've had kidney stone. I've had really bad sprains. Like when I sprained my ankle, that I think it dislocated for a second, and that shit was fucking rough. When you have that, everything else like just gets drowned out, and you can only think about that thing that just happened to you. Oh God. And then for me, I was thinking like, all right, what do I do? Like in practicality, just like rational brain like took over. Like, all right, you probably sprain your ankle. Here's what's gonna happen. You gotta just chill out for a second. Just let it happen. Then you're gonna have to figure out, okay, what's around me. Who do I have to let know about this? Can I get home? You know, all that stuff goes through your head. It's a clarifying moment, as fucked up as it is, when you have intense pain or whatever happen. It's rough. So I think, yeah, that's one of those first moments. That's what I envision being the first thing that like, hey, wake up. Don't think this is fucking fake. You just had you just got stabbed, dude. You got stabbed.
Yeah.
You know, like, wake up. I totally agree.
I imagine after a while, though, in that world, you would become accustomed to it. Like it would be like stubbing your toe, right? Or when you stub your toe at first, there's like that nanosecond where there's nothing, and your brain tells you this is gonna fucking hurt. And like you just prepare for the pain to make it all the way up here. And I bet that's what it eventually is like in this world, where it's like, ooh, I've been stabbed again, and that sucks so much. But because you're able to chug a healing potion, like it doesn't become as urgent, you know? Like maybe it isn't as painful, because mentally you're like, well, I can get through this. I've gone. It's a really weird thing to say, like, oh yeah, it's just getting stabbed, but maybe after a while in that world, because you're able to, I don't know, deal with it.
I guess
easier.
It's like you're anticipating it anyway. And you're expecting
exactly
it. Like,
Maya. You're
when you're going out to the cold, the bitter cold,
yes.
Like, it's gonna be cold, and you see people out there like wearing shorts in the cold. Well, it's because they're anticipating it, and they are used to it, or they can brave it because of it. Maybe the same with a knife, right?
Yeah. I really don't want to get stabbed, guys. I really would suck. That would suck a lot.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
Let's see here. Okay, another question for everybody from Dabiru. So, as we learned from session 0 that you all helped creating this world, such as Myers Cryptia and Stella's Ket Island, is there any lore you want to share with us on your creative regions that we didn't get to see or hear? Did you have any like secret stuff that you had thought about for your areas that you created that you were like, oh man, we didn't get to do that thing or whatever?
Nothing post talk for me, because like when we made Cryptia, that was it. Like I didn't even make a Cryptian character, so I was just like, whatever Whack does with this, whatever he does with it.
Yeah.
Meyer and I did have the conversation though. I was like, dude, it would be fucking funny if I wanted to put the fucking
what
3 vampires.
In the
yeah, when we were in the shadows. Yeah, and they just because Meyer was like, yeah, there's 3 corporations, and that's the city. Those are the cities. And I was just like, dude, that's fucking funny. And then I was like, well, if we go that route, and it just popped in my head for what we do in the shadows. And I was like, instead of vampires, we'll make them liches. And
Tres leches.
yeah, and
Hell yeah.
and they're just fucking competing with each other, and they absolutely hate each other. And they're just absolute scumbags. So Laser Craven Moore's whole thing was his way to become like the top lich in Cryptia, and maybe even take over other places in the world by creating these like undead kaiju with Tim Cross. Anything else? Anybody else?
As far as creation, I really liked Koga, and I'm glad that we spent time there because I thought that like having a diplomatic area with airships was just the coolest thing ever. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, so anything that's like up in the air, hooray, dude! Like, yes, absolutely, I want that. I want that existence. I wish we had Zeppelins. That would be fucking amazing. So just the fact that we got to spend time in Koga was really cool. Outside of my own creation, Moon had a cave in Pang that we never went to, but that was basically where she lived, was in Pang. And in this cave where you're not supposed to go because there was nowhere else, it was like, well, this is the top, like this is the hardest place.
I didn't know what you guys were gonna do in terms of like where you decided to go, because I put you on a little bit of some rails, but like you never know, like you guys can just fucking go left instead of going right, you know.
I not investigate a whole airship plot at the beginning of the show.
I could have seen you going to Nausicaa right off the bat. I didn't know. If you went to Nausicaa right off the bat, this would have been a completely different show. You know, so if you got a bunch of answers like at the beginning, that could have been really weird and interesting too. You know, where like you had some stuff explained to you, like that would have changed things dramatically. A very, very different show. So all the choices and everything that were made, kind of, I think were really good at reinforcing like all of the stuff that was related to the Emberstone conflict. That's kind of where we ended up, is like the show became really all about the Emberstone conflict, and you know, I gave you these quests and stuff because I thought that's what you were being presented with. So I'm like, their characters are going to do this because that's what they're thinking about, because that's what's being presented to them right now.
Yeah.
That's why you got all those quests. Or
not thinking and thinking like, okay, well, what's the best like situation? What's the best we can arrive at in this situation? Like, and then have it be totally fucking like outlandish, like pushing bodies off of an airship when we land into a city. Like, I really appreciate that Enders and pretty much everybody else was like, well, wait, why are we doing this?
Are we the baddies?
Are we? Exactly. It was like, wait, why are we pushing bodies off of this? Like, okay. Yeah, just really interesting ways to like develop the story. Depending on where we were. I thought the world was really, really cool. And I thought the world that we got to build together, I'm really happy with the places that we got to explore. And I'm sad that I didn't get to explore some of the, places the other party members went. And I'm sure that that's a feeling, maybe vice versa. Because I thought it was neat to go through some of the, like Cryptia was really cool. And that would have been neat with other people, probably.
If you had gone the Cryptia route, I mean, there was tons of countries that you didn't go through, but that happens in every single TTRPG campaign. You can't see the whole world; it just doesn't work.
I wanted to see, was it Platea?
Yeah.
Right, where it was like the just bountiful resources. I wanted to see it, and then like in Ocarina of Time, where it's like the Kokiri Forest, where it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. You go back and you're just like, oh, it's all fucked up now because like the resources are just gone or something.
Yeah. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, dude.
Everything's rotting because
everything's
like
rotting.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
That fondue place, just a stinky cheese hole. Oh no.
A stinky cheese hole. Oh,
Of
wow.
course, my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh,
Delicious.
watering hole.
Delicious. KJL asks, was the system present in the Valkyrie prior to Jan's occupation of her?
Whoa.
So the answer is yes and no.
Oh.
Because the system persists through everything. The system persists through everything. Now, did Jan's occupation of the Valkyrie change her perspective? Definitely. So you can't get rid of physics, really, or some version of physics. So yeah, that's my answer.
Jan started off as a shy accountant who didn't want to be the leader of a guild. She was like, oh, I guess I'm doing this now because Frank was like, no, you should do this. You're the one that's handling and you're the one that's taking care of this. And then I think she was like, all right, well, I'm going to take that seriously, and just full send. All right, let's do this. Let's save everybody if we're going to be, leading as well. Which is spooky. I wonder, like maybe if there wasn't like, oh, you'll be the leader, maybe there wouldn't have been like separation or something. I don't know. I really don't know how that happened still. Like still I'm not sure why Moon goes back and is stuck there. That's a big mystery. Like why was there a huge rift in time?
A huge rift in time?
Mm-hmm.
You mean the fact that Moon was there for 10 years before running into the players?
You're right. Yeah. Maybe not a rift, but like an unawareness. We're yeah.
I mean, was she looking for the other player? I mean, I don't think we got to expand on anything what happened, during that time. Like I would imagine if you're transport, you're probably looking.
Yes.
I think maybe even mentioned that she was looking. She just gave up essentially because. Yeah.
Mentioning Regalia was like, you get looked at like, what are you even talking about? Regalia Con? What do you mean?
Well, one of the things that I tried to talk to Elspeth about before we did the show was like, I want you to try to get into the headspace. If you think, so I played World of Warcraft and I played Burning Crusade for a good chunk of time. When I was kind of like at a low point in my life, and I don't talk to anybody from the guild anymore. I don't really communicate with any of them, even though I played, I don't know how many hours a day playing World of Warcraft with them. So I kind of wanted to go from that perspective of like, it could be one of those people. Like if I went to BlizzCon or whatever, and there were some other guild members that were there and we hung out, that'd be cool. And I'd have a great time probably. And we went to some event or something together. I was thinking from my past experience where like, I haven't even talked to anybody from those days in all this time,
No.
And that was, that was almost 20 years ago now. Shit's crazy. So I wanted to kind of put her head in that space. Like, yeah, you played games with them online and you met them in real life. You did get to do that. You went to a con, but that's the extent of your knowledge of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of my existential crises that I have, by the way, is like, you think about all this time you spend with people online and you can even meet them in person. But if you're not with them on a day-to-day basis, how long before you like forget them?
That was my big point, is that when Iris and Enders had their tiffs, I was trying to remind Iris, I don't know you. You don't know me. Like we may have spent a little bit of time. We're not friends. Like cause I was trying to bring that back to reality. Like certain things I just, he won't agree with because the sheer reality is what is a friend. And he didn't, and even in the reality of the thing, and people interpret friends different because people loosely use that word, right? And because it's just a word. Like, oh, it's a friend of mine, and they just probably met them once and they just talked to them. But like for him, it was like, none of these people are really my friends. I don't know them. And now that we're put in this situation, this is a survival thing. I got to kind of think about myself here and then figure shit out. Like, you know, and a lot of people were just like, yay, friends group. And I was having my character actually seriously think about this. It's like, this is a different thing right now. And why are you guys looking at it lightly? This is real. Like, you know, this is not a game. So I wanted my character to always be attached to that idea. And I'm glad we had the fight of Bo thinking, no, this is a game. And Rue's like, I'm me. The hell you mean? You know? So I'm glad we had these different points of view, because when you're put in that situation, who's truly going to be a friend? And at the end, you know, we had like a back and forth between Rue and Enders. And I thought it was really, really good. Like, Rue's like, okay, there was a stalemate of when Blue Enders didn't trust Rue, because it's like, you're not able to make decisions. I can't count on you when it matters. You're too attached, you know? And I don't
like,
have
from
that.
Rue's perspective, it's like Riley grew up with Jan. They were childhood friends, right? And in the entire time that we've been in Regalia, in this world, Riley believes she's Riley. So she's bringing all of that baggage, all of those years with her. And it's like, of course she's not going to give up, because this is just a game to her.
Yeah. So when we had that, you know, when she's casting a spell and then like a spell automatically happens and it's like a mirror spell, she's like, damn, you don't fucking trust me? And he's like, it's not for you. You know, because I said way early on that once I get a spell, it's going to automatically pop on when Valkyrie shows up. And that's why I use Fabula points. And then when she cut the chains, that's when he's like, betrayer, you know, like I gave you that trust that I said I would never give, and you do this to me. I'm bringing down this fucking comic, you know, like everybody's lying. You guys are not seeing the bigger picture. You're worried about one person when the world is at stake. That was him, because that's
About
all
perspective.
he knew. Yeah, and I love the dynamic we had. And at the end, when I had to decide who am I attacking, I had to ask myself, like, who am I really going to attack here? Who is he? You know, based off of what information, the communication was absolute ass. So he's like thinking, like, should I just take out Moon when I can do this now? It's like that thing right there, that anomaly, that random person's got to be the cause of this. He doesn't care, you know? So I was like, oh, I'll attack him. But yeah, that dynamic between what is a friend and who do you trust was a big thing for Enders, because he betrayed the people, like Enderelli betrayed the people, technically betrayed them by using them for a bigger cause without their permission or anything, you know? And that stayed in his mind. And that's why you got the, you know, the truth is in the blood thing and all that stuff was happening, because he was fighting his own demons. You know, the one thing that he hated, he was. So I was like putting all that emotion into this and like putting it on each one of these characters that we have in this story and trying to find out where is he. So at the end of the day, null and void, you know, it's just like, what's really a friend, you know, is the overall question. Yeah.
Which is fair, because I mean, all Blue Enders is hearing about was this destruction, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen it personally, and like in this wake, you have to assess like, well, what is the real threat of this world, and who is actually causing the damage and destruction? And for me, it's like it's very much like Moon is kind of like a yellow jacket that keeps crawling on a window that's like not open. That's like, open this window, open this window. But if you try to get close to this yellow jacket, it's going to sting you. Like, it's going to be like, get the fuck out of my way. But it has its own, you know, like mission. And that's why it's so good, because you can't blame Enders for being like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, this villain is going around destroying Emberstone towers and has hurt us and has killed members of our party. And then like realizing, well, there's a lot of damage going on with Moon as well, and lots of loss. So like that, you know, it's crazy, dude. I think I want to know the backstory of how we, like the players, came into Regalia, but not just like from the show perspective, from like a how did they not just how did they feel, but how did they plan to exit? What was the strategy? Like Riley might not have, because it was like, this is just a game. But as soon as you realize, well, I just got stabbed, and that doesn't happen in like daily life. You know, that lots of, okay, it's an isekai and it's an anime, so maybe we don't treat it as like super seriously, but I think it got super serious because we were dealing with all of this like emotional damage.
Yeah. And the world expects you to fix everything.
The world,
right?
yeah, the world.
Randomly.
It's like,
Yeah.
do we do this lightly? Do we treat it like anime? Like, you know, that's kind of funny, kind of comical, but also people are getting hurt.
I tried to like give you a heads up about that, like before we started, with the expectation that's put on your characters, because Moon had obviously crazy expectations thrust upon Moon, but you all did. You, as soon as you get the name hero, there's expectations that are put on you and disappointment. And I wanted it to be like right off the jump that like, that's shit's like, what are you talking about? Like, why do you hate me? Like, I just woke up. What are you talking about? I just got out of a fucking coma, or I just, you know, I'm here. Like, and you had to explain this to everybody because people have these like preconceived notions about you and prejudices about you immediately, and it's just not fair. But it's kind of like human nature, and it just fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just it's a thing. You know, and it's one of those complicated sort of ideas that I think exists in a lot of isekai. So I wanted to have that in this show.
It's really fucked up in isekai. It's like, now that I think about it, in these animes, like they summon you, right? They take you out of your natural element and expect you to do shit.
Yeah, solve my problems.
Yeah, and when they don't, and when you don't, they treat you like dirt. You know, a lot of those isekai, they like, you know, exile them or kill them in some cases, you know, and sacrifice. It's crazy stuff, man. You know, so I agree with Stella. I love the fact anytime that something is explained really well, I have a very vivid mind, so I can see everything. And Elspeth, you get credit to you again on that scene where, you know, I can see a burning village and like somebody run up and like, why aren't you saving them? Why? And you're just kind of standing there like, why am I still doing this?
What does it matter? Yeah.
Well, it's just going to be another village fire. You know, there's another one's going to happen. I'm going to expect me to do that. I can see it. I thought that was a really, really, really good moment. I wish we would have expanded more on that. I wish we would have got down, because I don't think stories are told from the hero's perspective of like, I'm fucking tired of doing this.
Yeah. She was screwed up, you know, because that history is very like, you look at it with our human perspective and be like, well, what do you mean you didn't save them from the burning village? And you could have. Yeah. It's the never-ending burning village problem. Yeah. There's always going to be another burning village.
Imagine failing a quest.
Yeah.
Like, we deal with depression every day in the real world. Imagine that. Like, you could have saved my mother.
Yeah.
Fuck. So
Yeah,
me
like,
saving half the nation is not good enough? Shut the fuck up. Yeah. You know, it's like, I can just see that happening. It'll drive somebody to be a villain.
Yep.
Nothing I do is right. Why don't I just be the villain then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing left for it, bro.
Yeah. So I love that back and forth, and like seeing the Valkyrie, and I liked calling her the Valkyrie because it's just like Moon has
It's dehumanizing.
lost. Yeah, she lost her human side because she's been a part of this cog in the wheel, right? Constantly, and eventually it wears down, and she just becomes, oh, so if this is what you want, I'll destroy you all, and then I won't have to worry about it, and all your problems will be solved. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we got a little bit of mannequin.
It ended up being this prophecy, right? Which is kind of what Tim Cross was like, oh, I want you to ascend. Like, well, what the fuck does that even mean? Yeah. What does that mean? That's probably bad. Maybe.
A few rapid fire questions that I think I will attempt to partially answer, at least, from KJL. Was magical energy required to maintain the Regalia Con players inside the world of Regalia? Yes. Was magical energy required to maintain Jan, Jean, Riley, Bo, and Frank inside of the bodies of the dead heroes they were occupying? Yes. Would the mechanism by which closing the rift would save Regalia be by returning the energy expended by magic to Regalia? No,
right? Because magic's gone. essentially.
Complicated answer. I can't give a simple answer, and I think if I answer that, I'm gonna give too many things away.
Was it anything to do with tossing Tim Cross into the rift? Did that help?
It helped for other ways, not what I think you're trying to find out.
I think since Moon, and this is me, since Moon ascended,
Okay.
two anomalies got thrown into the rift, which then caused some catastrophic thing to happen to where it closed the rift there, but probably in another place fucked it up. And then it removed all the magic from
Like equivalent
Regalia.
exchange.
Yeah, it was like an
Sorta.
exchange, and it took all the magic from Regalia. Whether the bodies that were falling from the sky would be really fucked up if they were corpses, really fucked up. Hopefully not. Hopefully it was us falling and we just lost magic and we have to figure out a way to live our lives from that point on and figure what's going on. But if it was just fucking corpses, that's fucked up, and I hope not. I don't want to know. That would be so messed up.
The only like answer I'm gonna give you, Elspeth, is again, I think what Moon did overall
Balance.
provided the greatest good. Now,
I'll live with that, I
and
guess.
It means we're dead.
it's also dependent. It's also dependent on perspective as well. You know, because that was one of the underlying things for this show was it's all about perspective. Okay, we don't have a ton of time. Piranha has a fuck ton of questions. Let's see if we can answer any of these. I think this is a good one to end with, so I'll wait on that. Discounting Smut Island, everybody wants to go there. What part of the world would you have wanted to visit?
Platea, personally.
Indar, because I wanted the slutty little fig fairy things.
Yeah, the Smut Island. He said
Yeah.
aside from the Smut
Oh,
Island.
my bad. Okay, Cat Island. The reason being is because I think Riley didn't have any big attachments because she was an outlier the whole time. She was really the only. I mean, there was a few cats mentioned, but she was like the one that was like, the main thing, and she always got in trouble. So I think if she would have seen like her, like those that look like her, maybe even recognize her, she would have had like a really big come to herself moment where she had to decide, am I really still Riley? Wait a minute. No. And everybody, maybe when she got back, everybody would have been like, she's here, finally, she's back, and I would have loved to see what Riley would have went through. And if she had to come to terms with being rude, like I missed that. I really wanted that. I really wanted everyone to have some kind of feel on that. So yeah.
She was a
That would
cat.
have been crazy.
She had the confidence of a cat. Like that's what was also really, really cool about Rue, is that she had this natural, just like not ability to just blend in, but ability to be like, well, this is what a cat would do in this circumstance. And it is not entirely, it's not self-serving necessarily, but it's a little bit chaotic, and it's definitely fun. Like there was always this element of like, well, I want to do this just to see what happens. And that is the point of a game. That's like the whole point. And she didn't lose the plot. And she wanted to help her friend, which was like, that's so grounded. I was so grounded in this series because playing a character that was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I loved it. But it would have, I don't know. I don't know what that would have looked like for her to be like, well, suddenly I am something else.
Yeah. And it's very possible that upon being confronted by other Ket, that Riley experiences the body of the person that they might have, they might have taken
That's such a good
over.
Question: did you ever think about yourself as like, well, I'm a cat? Or were you like, no, I am Riley?
No, never thought of herself as a cat. It was just
Wow.
Riley piloting, running around in a sandbox. It's like VR for her.
Oh,
Very real VR.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um.
That would have been very interesting.
Okay. Another question for Stella. How do you think things would have turned out if Rue managed to convince Moon to take her with instead of leaving her on the airship with Greg, what crazy adventures would they have run into? And do you think Rue would have been able to stabilize Moon? It's a neat what-if scenario that's been playing in my mind, says Piranha.
Ooh, okay. So it wouldn't have been a matter of if Riley can help stabilize her. I think it would have been just more of a case of what are they going to end up doing together?
Yeah. I think we would have caused even more mischief, and
I think that would have been the bad ending. I'm gonna be so real, because I think there would be a point where it would just be a contest of what's more powerful in influencing Elspeth's character. Is it the Emberstone or is it Riley? And it's probably the Emberstone.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
See, that's difficult because Riley is treating it like a game, and if Riley's like, well, then we're going to be the strongest, and we're going to play this, and we're going to, have fun. I think that would have influenced Moon up to a point, and then shit would have gotten really real, like really real, really fast when when Moon needs to like eat or whatever or absorb the Emberstone. Although maybe that wouldn't have happened. Maybe there wouldn't have been a turning point.
I would say that because
I
imagine
she would have had a friend.
Riley's priority would have been, can we get out of here? Can we go back home?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see Riley saying, fuck the rest of them, let's go. Because they were the closest. And like at the end of the day, this is not all worth what we've had. We need to go. I could see that being a major thing. And I don't think it would have caused a rift between them because they're the only ones that really knew each other. I don't know how long she worked at her job, maybe Bo, but other than that, yeah, I could see that.
Riley didn't even know his name.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't give it either, to be fair.
That guy.
John Hansen.
John Hudson.
Well, what's really interesting is the reason that Riley's playing is because of Bo.
Yeah.
True.
Right? It was like, oh, what are you playing? Oh my god, okay, I'll download it too.
Oh.
What? If you must,
Help me set up my keybinds.
macros. Lots
All
of
right.
macros.
Last question. This is for each of you. Pick another character. What do you think happened after the end credits rolled? Where did they go? What did they do? What did you find the most interesting about the character in question and why?
Wait, pick another character other than our own?
Different character other than your own.
From our group or just a random?
Whoa. I bet Jean never lost the need to help. I think she, in any circumstance, excuse me, dead or alive, because I generally don't know what happened to our characters, she wanted to help her mom, right? So from the beginning, she had this desire to help other people. I think Jean probably went on to be some, whatever was needed to heal people. Because she didn't sway from that either. That was a consistent character trait of Iris, was that I snap into action and I help them out. I think she would have been like the medic on the field with all the bodies. That's my 2 cents.
wait, can you the question one last time?
Sure.
One last time.
Okay. What do you think happened after the end credits rolled? Where did they go? What did they do? What did you find the most interesting about the character in question and why?
Okay. All right. In that case,
Big C back in Clatter Point. He was able to
Hardcore!
to get his street cred back once people figured out that, oh, wait a minute, that was Moon who did made him look like an idiot. And so he managed to trick people and became even more successful. But then the Maelstrom came in and kind of fucked up Clatter Point, and he was instrumental in actually getting everybody to evacuate from there first. And he was Big C became a big thing.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's not within our group. I mean, if it's within our group,
It was supposed to be. Meyer broke them.
oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think
He didn't
Yeah,
specify. I was just I added that.
okay. I think Riley would have been fucked up. I think she would have been just kind of done with everything and would need a lot of help, like finding a reason to still not, I want to say exist. That's intense, but you know, like her drive the whole time was Jan, and knowing that she's gone. I think two things: either Riley would have just needed a lot of help getting back on her feet, or she would have just 100% went villain arc and like found a way to try to reopen a rift to get off and, you know, find Jan, you know, because, you know, her drive was there. And if it had to be an NPC outside, I think I think Professor Dross would be out without a job because there's no magic. Like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, her whole life
She
was
becomes a
around
historian.
magic. Yeah, that whole university would go down. Like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for Enders, there would be two potential storylines. One would be, I think he would rise to become the leader that he was trying not to be. I think that a lot of people would look to him, and he might even be like the closest thing to the next savior. I think even with like the lack of emotions, just the responsibility and the bearing that he brought with just how important all of this and handling the Valkyrie was, I think people would have recognized that and he would have got something from it. Or I think leaning more towards the Dragon Empress, I feel like the Dragon Empress might get out of control with the savior gone.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because, like, I mean, it depends on what the definition of magic is, the absence of it. Because I imagine that the dragons are still there.
Yeah, those
I
are
imagine,
living things.
yeah, and I imagine that would make Millifax one of the most scariest things to exist.
Yeah.
Scariest places. They would have
Yeah.
such great military power. And I think Enders would become, like, you know, the trusted right hand. So I think it could go very spicy.
Oh yeah.
Spicy.
No.
I'm gonna chime in as well. What I think happened to Bo. I think eventually Bo would get the feeling for being a slime. I think that he would be able to find the equivalent of senses and reclaim that, and eventually just kind of recognize what's going on and be able to I think master the different abilities of being a slime and being able to like transform himself, and maybe even, as we mentioned, the possibility you know, earlier on in the show, that like he would be able to maybe even transform into a slime version of who he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Can we make it? No, maybe not canon, but like a post-credit scene, years and years and years and years, where Bo suddenly can taste something. It's
This
like
tastes like shit.
Yes!
Exactly. He's just
That's
like
the end credit,
it's
black
awful.
screen.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Yes. Nailed it.
It's perfect. That's perfect. Well done. Well done. Thank you so much to my wonderful cast. Faye, we missed you today. Sorry you couldn't be
Excuse
here.
me, there's a bonus question there.
There's a bonus question. Season 2 when? I don't know. We
Better
don't,
than to
we
know,
don't know if
I
it
guess.
exists. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what could happen. But regardless, I want to say a big thank you to my wonderful cast. Thank you so much for being on the show with me and doing all the things that you've done on this show. Thank you. Thank you to the wonderful audience for being a part of it as well. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for helping to create this world with me and exploring this isekai experience and regalia. And we appreciate you so much. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Wack.
Thanks, Wack.
Thanks,
Yay,
Wack.
Everybody clap for WAP.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll see what happens next. Thanks to everybody for being here. I appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. We're gonna take you out to the credits one last time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
涙の色はエメラルドブルー宝石みたいに光ってる流れ星を見上げていたあの夜も夜の電車が心地よく